Chapter 1900. Qin Lu. What a strange transformation technique. A strange light flashed in Qin Nan's eyes. If he could master this technique, it would be a great thing for him. Mr. Qin, only junior brother Yuanji, is able to use this art in the ancient Bodhi temple because he was born with the Bodhi body, one of the 10 great ancient bodies. Yuan Ju seemed to have seen through his thoughts and said, "Damn, you actually have the Bodhi body? Why didn't you use it when we were in danger?" Doom widened his eyes. "What do you know? What I did was to hold back and wait until the critical moment to use it. That way, it would be able to turn the situation around," Yuanji said righteously without blushing. "It seems like Yuanji is hiding a lot of secrets." Qin Nan was deep in thought, but he didn't think much of it. Wasn't he hiding many secrets as well? There's still a lot of dragon meat left. Let's finish eating before heading over. Yuanji sat down and took out a few bottles of fine immortal wine from his storage bag. An hour later, the three of them arrived at the teleportation formation of the Buddha Prayer City and arrived at the heart-cleansing temple. What a powerful temple! Qin Nan looked up, immortal flames flickering in his eyes. In front of them was a towering mountain. The rocks on the mountain seemed to have been affected by the Buddhas all year round. They all had a faint golden color and emitted a faint wave. At the foot of the mountain, there was an ancient stone staircase that led to the peak. On top of the mountain, there were 3 gigantic rocks that looked like giants. The heart-cleansing temple stood on top of these rocks, emitting a vast Buddhist light that illuminated the void in all directions. In addition to it, there was a formidable force inside the temple. Even Qin Nan's immortal eyes of the divine god of battle were unable to peek inside. Yuanji explained while walking, "Our ancient Bodhi temple has a unique secret art that allows us to build temples and Bodhi cities to recruit disciples and collect the power of faith to improve our cultivation. This heart-cleansing temple has been passed down for thousands of years. The incense and willpower have long been incomparably thick. Its will is extremely terrifying. Now that Liujia has become the abbot, you have to be wary of him borrowing the will of the temple." Qin Nan nodded. Unknowingly, they had reached the peak of the mountain and entered the temple. The smell of burning incense, as well as the sounds of chanting scriptures and talking, immediately enveloped Qin Nan. What was strange was that this did not make people feel confused. Yuanji, why are they here? Quick, go and report to eldest senior brother." Some of the disciples in the temple were startled when they saw Yuanji and Yuanji. They quickly transmitted their thoughts as if they had encountered a formidable foe. Many of the cultivators who came here looked at them in surprise. How impudent! He doesn't even know how to greet his senior brother. This Liujia is really leading people astray. Yuanji harumphed. "Amitba, may I know what brings you 2 senior brothers here from afar?" When the 3 of them were about to reach the main hall, a figure suddenly flashed in front of them and blocked their path. Then, he put his palms together. Qin Nan raised his brows after taking a glance at the figure. The person was a peak heaven immortal who had mastered the minor success stage of the Tao realm. "Hui, I'm here to ask you to be the abbot. It's none of your business here. You can leave now," Yuanji said expressionlessly with an imperious look. "Amitba, senior brothers, I'm sorry. The abbot is meeting 3 esteemed guests inside. The other elders are inside too, so they can't receive you." Hui remained still and ordered the guests to leave. "It's only been a few months since we last met, but you've grown quite a bit. Let me see how much you've learned." Yuanji let out a hollow laugh. He unleashed his aura and waved his hand. Chants of Bodhi echoed in the surroundings. "He's attacking us right away?" Many cultivators and some of the new disciples were shocked. The Bodhi cities and temples under the ancient Bodhi temple had strict rules. Unless both sides agreed to a duel, no one was allowed to use violence. Otherwise, it would be treated as a provocation, and the people involved would be suppressed. Hui's eyes flickered angrily. He did not expect the guy to be so lawless. "Amitba, are you trying to make a joke out of yourself?" Hui, you should leave now. Let Yuanji and Yuanju in. A dignified voice quickly sounded from the main hall. Yes, elder. Hui withheld his anger and stepped aside. Yuanji harumph. He brought Yuanjue and Qin Nan into the main hall. Qin Nan was stunned as soon as he entered the hall. The main hall was extremely spacious. It was over 100,000 zhang wide. Behind it stood several golden statues with strong Bodhi auras. On both sides of the hall were several futons. Many monks and cultivators were sitting on the futons. At the center of the formation, there was a circular pattern that was around 30,000 feet in size. It was cast from a light green slate. A bald young man with white brows was sitting with his legs crossed in the middle of the pattern. He was holding purple golden prayer beads in his left hand and a white jade mallet in his right. He was pounding a wooden fish while murmuring under his breath. A shocking Bodhi intent was bursting out of his back. The aura of a peerless ruler was surging in all directions. A few thousand zhang in front of the monk were two men and a woman. They were emitting an immortal glow as they executed arts of Tao seeking. 3 different intents were slashing at the Bodhi intent like 3 peerless swords. Even though the circular pattern under their feet had blocked most of the intents, Qin Nan could still sense the great danger and energy from it. Yuanji, I must warn you, Liujie is having a duel with the will of the Bodhi God. If you disturb him, even your master won't be able to protect you, a monk in the peak peerless ruler realm warned sternly. He glanced at Qin Nan briefly before looking away. Don't worry, great elder, only Liujie is capable of ambushing someone. I'm not that kind of person. Yuanji chuckled. The great elder, the other elders, and the cultivators shook their heads. However, they were aware of the conflict between the two, thus they did not say anything. Master Qin, it seems like we aren't in luck. I didn't expect Liujie to be having a duel with 3 exceptional geniuses of the superfluous lifeless sect, Qing Lu and the others. We'll have to wait for a while, Yuanjue transmitted his voice to Qin Nan. It's fine, wait. Did you just say the exceptional geniuses of the superfluous lifeless sect? Chapter 1901. Scholar Lin Nan, that's right, the woman among them is called Qing Lu. She's one of the exceptional geniuses of the superfluous lifeless sect. She must have come to have a battle of will with Liujie to comprehend a Tao art. Yuanjue said. Qin Nan's eyes flickered. It was a great opportunity for him. However, what was he going to do when the time came? At this moment, the battle between Liujie and Qing Lu and the other two in the cyan circular pattern was becoming more and more intense. All kinds of phenomena were appearing one after another. Liujie's will is nothing ordinary, Qin Nan exclaimed as he observed the battle with the immortal eyes of the divine god of battle. Although the two parties appeared to be equally matched on the surface, Liujie had actually gained the upper hand. Furthermore, the Buddhist intent that he was emitting was constantly invading the bodies of the 3 of them. Time gradually passed. Half an hour later, Qing Lu and her crew were clearly losing the battle. They kept on backing away, and were soon forced to the edge of the pattern. According to the rules of the battle of will, it was considered a failure if one left the pattern. The profundity of superfluous, the creation of something from nothing. All of a sudden, Qing Lu's will exploded. Countless gray lights surged forward and formed a huge sword in the void, as if they were going to form a supreme sword formation. Buddha is merciful. Liujie's expression turned serious as well. He chanted a Buddhist mantra, and a total of 36 golden arhats appeared behind him. They made different movements and formed an invisible formation. Bang! A strong gust of wind shook the hall vigorously. Qing Lu was not willing to give up so easily. Her will continued to rise as if it was going to break through a certain threshold. However, the accumulation she had accumulated was still too little. She failed to break through. Bang bang bang! Following 3 explosions, Qing Lu and the other 2 were all sent flying. Blood flowed from the corners of their mouths, and their auras dropped to rock bottom. Losing the battle of will was worse than suffering injuries to the flesh. Even with the help of immortal blessing resources, it would take them a long time to recover. Amitabha, it's a blessing. Liujia put his palms together and descended. The overwhelming Buddhist will, the 36 arhats, and the others all returned to normal. He glanced at Qin Nan and the others as if he sensed something. Murderous intent flickered in his eyes when he saw Yuanji and Yuanju. He then looked at Qing Lu and the others. Benefactors, you've already lost. According to our previous agreement, you'll have to stay in our Bodhi pond for a month, Lu Jie said. The ancient Bodhi temple had come up with the battle of will to lure the exceptional geniuses of other factions into the Bodhi pond. Although they might not be able to convert the other party completely, cultivating the Buddha nature in the other party's heart would be extremely beneficial to them. If he could convert one or two by chance, he would have profited greatly. Wait! At this moment Qin Nan spoke. The gazes of the crowd immediately shifted toward him. Yuanji and Yuanjue were stunned as well. Why did Qin Nan open his mouth at this time? And Liujie's face remained expressionless. He did not even follow the etiquette of meeting an outsider for the first time. It was obvious that the scholar was up to no good since he was with Yuanjue and Yuanji. I'm a nameless rogue cultivator, Lin Nan. I've heard from Master Yuanji and Master Yuanjue that Master Liujie is an expert in Buddhism. I'm here to challenge you to a battle of will, Qin Nan said with a calm smile. He unleashed the aura of a peerless ruler in the early stage. The crowd was startled. Liujie's eyes flickered with a Bodhi glow. Yuanji and Yuanjue were well aware of his cultivation. The cultivator called Lin Nan must be extraordinary if he dared to challenge him to a battle of will. If I win, I only want Qing Lu and the others to follow me for a month. I won't harm them. If I lose, I'll give you this cauldron, how's that? Qin Nan released the heaven-repairing cauldron with his divine sense. You son of AB*****ch, how dare you use me as a stake again? Doom's furious roar echoed in the hall. If he was not rational enough, he would have yelled Qin Nan's name and cursed at him. Doom, who's ranked second among the 10 primordial evils? It's going to be a great deed if we can convert him. The elders in the peerless ruler realm recognized the heaven-repairing cauldron right away. They were startled. Qing Lu and the others were startled. Who was this weak scholar in front of them? Why was he helping them? Amitabha, I'm very interested in Master Lin's suggestion, but I've just had a battle of will recently. My will is a little worn out. Why don't we talk about it another day? Liujie withheld his urge and rejected the offer. Liujie, don't tell me you're scared? Yuanji chuckled disdainfully. Weren't you very brave when you ambushed me and senior brother Yuanjue in the past? Why are you so cowardly now that you've achieved the peerless ruler realm? Yuanji had spent some time with Xiao Shunliang, thus he was 2/10 as good as Xiao Shunliang at mocking him. Yuanji, don't lie! The first elder shouted sternly. Even though Yuanji was telling the truth, he could not bring it up in front of the crowd. Yuanji twisted his lips and said, Liujie, how about this? If you win, I'll give you the 3 badges I have. What do you think? As soon as he said this, all the monks present were shocked. The ancient Bodhi temple had 18 badges in total. Anyone among the exceptional geniuses who managed to collect all of them would become the young master of the ancient Bodhi temple. Liujie had ambushed Yuanji and Yuanjue because of the badges. Yuanjue's 2 badges were taken away by Liujie too. Amitabha, junior brother Yuanji, are you serious? Liujie squinted. He was thoroughly convinced. Why would I lie to you? However, if you lose, apart from Qing Lu and the others, my brother Lin Nan will punish you accordingly. How's that? Yuanji said. Qin Nan was the one who asked him to add the rule. Sure. Liujie nodded after a slight ponder. He looked at Qing Lu and the others and said, Fellow cultivators, if I lose, you will follow cultivator Lin Nan for a month. Are you willing to do that? Qing Lu and the others nodded in agreement after a slight hesitation. Lin Nan obviously had his reasons for making the request. However, it was clearly better than going to the Bodhi Pond. As for what Lin Nan was up to, they could just deal with it as it came. Cultivator Lin Nan, please make your move. Liu Jie floated in the air and sat down with his legs crossed. He made an inviting gesture. His eyes were emitting a Bodhi glow. This Lin Nan must have come prepared. Otherwise, Yuanji would not be willing to pay such a huge price. However, Chapter 1902. The Art of the Battle of Buddha, Master Liu Jie, I won't go easy on you. Qin Nan brought his fists together. A shocking dragon intent burst out of his body, resulting in a series of dragon cries in the surroundings. Liu Jie chanted Amitabha and a formless Buddhist intent turned into a huge wall, blocking the dragon intent completely. Cultivator Lin Nan, just show me what you've got. There's no need to test me. Liu Jie lowered his eyes. He had an imperious aura. Sure. Qin Nan's eyes burst into immortal flames. The Battle Dao immortal manuscript in his body was activated. A magnificent battle intent surged like a surging ocean. The spacious palace began to tremble vigorously. Is that? The elders, cultivators, and Qing Lu's trio were astounded. The battle intent was simply too terrifying. They even had a misconception that a peerless realm of battle was slowly descending upon them. The successor of the immortals is indeed terrifying. Yuanjue exclaimed in astonishment. Cultivator Lin Nan's cultivation is impressive. Liu Jie wore a stern look. He immediately performed a hand seal to execute the two arts of Dao seeking of the ancient Bodhi temple. There is no tree in Bodhi, nor is there a mirror. Liu Jie's voice suddenly became louder and louder. Every word he said was like a peal of thunder. Behind him, an ancient tree and an ancient temple floated in the air. In the blink of an eye, countless Buddhist chants resounded in all directions. Golden Buddhist runes appeared one after another in the void. Each of the Buddhist runes contained a terrifying Buddhist will. So this must be Master Liu Jie's true strength. Qing Lu and the others bit their lips. They had only forced Master Liu Jie to use 70% of his strength. I didn't expect junior brother Liu Jie to have comprehended the true scriptures of Bodhi and the true scriptures of Rulai to such an extent. This means cultivator Lin Nan is most likely going to lose the duel. The elders nearby wore smiles on their faces. Yuanji and Yuanjue were expressionless, but they were clenching their fists under their sleeves. If they could use immortal techniques, the two of them believed that even Tu Liu Jie wouldn't be a match for Qin Nan. But now it was a battle of wills. At this moment, in the circular pattern, the Buddhas will surge down like a torrential river, as if it wanted to completely purify Qin Nan's fighting intent. What a powerful Buddha intent! If we were truly fighting, I would have to use other methods. Unfortunately, this is a battle of wills. Fighting the heavens and fighting the earth, there is nothing that he does not fight, and there is nothing that he does not win. Qin Nan's battle intent soared once again. The surroundings were dyed blue. An ancient aura lingered in the hall. The two magnificent Bodhi intents were instantly suppressed. Liu Jie's face also darkened slightly as he hurriedly backed away. How did his will become so strong? The elders and the cultivators could not believe their eyes. Everyone knew that the arts of Dao seeking were not categorized into different levels. Lin Nan and Liu Jie were in the same cultivation level, yet the former was only using one art of Dao seeking, while the latter was using two of his own arts of Dao seeking. Why was Liu Jie at a disadvantage instead? Heart-cleansing temple, strengthen me. Liu Jie steadied himself and performed a hand seal. The entire temple began to tremble as it emitted wisps of Bodhi glow. The cultivators outside were startled. Their faces were filled with blank expressions. Bang! All of a sudden, A loud explosion rang out. Dazzling Buddhist light burst forth from the Buddha paintings at the top of the main hall and surged into Liu Jie's body. Liu Jie's aura skyrocketed. It was twice as strong as before. I knew this bald donkey is shameless. Yuanji and Yuanjue cursed in their hearts. There was an unwritten rule in the Battle of Wills. The participants were not allowed to use artifacts or Dao weapons. Sitting is Zen, walking is Zen, a flower is a world, a leaf is a Tathagata. An illusionary golden lotus appeared under Liu Jie. He had a dignified appearance. Every word he uttered would summon the statues of Vajras and Bodhisattvas in the hall. Qin Nan's battle intent was immediately suppressed. You can use artifacts? Qin Nan raised his brows. His lips curled upward. Heart-cleansing temple, you better behave yourself if you don't want to be destroyed. Qin Nan snapped coldly. His right arm turned into the heaven-shattering saber and stabbed into the ground. Buzz. The saber shuddered as it unleashed a strong will. Bang bang bang. A series of explosions took place in the rift. The Bodhi light that was emitting from the heart-cleansing temple had completely disappeared. The place returned to normal. The first elders could even hear a faint cry of grief. At that instant, their hearts were filled with astonishment. The heart-cleansing temple was almost stronger than a Dao weapon. It could easily resist a peak peerless ruler even if no one was using their immortal force. However, what kind of saber was this mysterious cultivator called Lin Nan using? How could it suppress the heart-cleansing temple to such an extent? Dao-jolting saber art. Qin Nan's hair drifted wildly as he stepped forward. Wisps of saber incense soared into the sky and shattered the statues of Vajras, Arhats, and Bodhisattvas into pieces, as if no one in the world could stop him. On top of it, a great aura was accumulating too. Crap! The hearts of many elders sank. Lin Nan's will was just too terrifying. Liu Jie was forced into a corner. It was difficult for him to turn the tables around. Junior brother Yuanji, senior brother Yuanjue, it seems like you've been planning this for a long time. Liu Jie suddenly wore a smile and said, Lin Nan's will is indeed stronger than mine, but I'm still the winner today. He waved his hand. A golden orb floated in front of him, emitting a terrifying aura. A supreme Saraira? The eyes of Yuanji, Yuanjue, and the others widened. When a senior monk passed away, they would turn into Sarairas. These Sarairas contained the will of the senior monk when he was still alive. They could be used to cultivate or fight enemies. They were extremely powerful. However, the Sarairas had always been kept safe by the factions. Yuanji did not even have a single Saraira of a peerless ruler, but Liu Jie had a supreme Saraira. Amit Ba! Liu Jie uttered a chant. A stalwart figure suddenly appeared in the golden Saraira in front of him, exuding a terrifying will of Buddha. Everyone at the scene appeared minuscule under the Buddha intent. Interesting. Qin Nan remained still upon seeing this, as he uttered a groan in his heart. Chapter 1903. The dispute began again. A blue glow flickered as an illusionary figure floated behind Qin Nan with an ancient aura. The spirit of an expert? Liu Jie wore a faint smile. He placed his palms together and said, Master Lin's capabilities are indeed extraordinary, but unfortunately, everything is nothing before it. He quickly performed a Bodhi seal and inserted the two kinds of Bodhi intents into the Saraira of the Supreme Highness. Bang! The entire hall was plunged into darkness. The magnificent golden figure stepped out from the darkness with an imperious aura. In the end, it shoved its palm forward and crushed down on Qin Nan and the divine battle spirit like a five-fingered mountain. In the nick of time, the divine battle spirit raised its head slightly as if it sensed something. Its hollow, illusionary eyes stared at the golden figure. At that instant, it was as if time had frozen. The palm came to a stop when it was less than 3 zhang away from the divine battle spirit. How is this possible? Liu Jie was the first to react. His expression changed greatly. However, an astounding sight took place. The majestic golden figure seemed to have been judged by heaven and earth. His body collapsed and turned into countless golden light spots. Boom, 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 boom. That supreme relic suddenly exploded. Tiny cracks appeared on it, and its radiance dimmed. In addition to it, the remaining will of the Supreme Highness slammed into Liu Jie's divine sense. Liu Jie let out a muffled groan as he spat out a mouthful of faint golden blood. His body shot out of the circular diagram like an arrow. His aura had also become extremely weak. The elders and cultivators nearby were dumbfounded. Words could no longer describe their feelings. That was the Saraira of a Supreme Highness. Even they would have trouble resisting the will that Liu Jie had unleashed with the help of the Saraira of a Supreme Highness. What kind of terrifying creature was the green figure that Lin Nan had summoned? Qin Nan was not surprised after seeing this, as he withdrew the divine battle spirit. If the two of them were to engage in a real battle, Liu Jie would pose a huge threat to Qin Nan by relying on this supreme Saraira. This supreme relic was indeed powerful. However, this was a battle of wills. How could the will of a mere Buddha compare to that of the fifth immortal, the god of war? Ha ha, we won. Yuanji and Yuanjue were overjoyed. They finally vented half of the resentment they had been holding in for years. They felt extremely satisfied. Liu Jie collapsed to the ground, still in disbelief. Ownerless heaven pattern, return. Qin Nan did not hold back at all. With a flick of his finger, the ancient diagram appeared and quickly sucked Liu Jie into it. The three of you, please bear with it for the time being. Don't worry, this won't cause you any harm. Qin Nan looked at Qing Lu and the others. Qing Lu and the others were startled. They were sucked into the ancient diagram before they could react. That's quite a loot. Now, only the arts of Tao seeking of the Ten Desires sect and the Heaven Illusionary Ancestors sect are left. Qin Nan was overjoyed. Besides, Master Liu Jie had practiced 2 arts of Tao seeking of the ancient Bodhi temple. How bold! At that instant, a furious roar exploded in the hall. The great elder stepped forward with a furious look on his face. He shouted, "Benefactor Lin, Liu Jie was only defeated by you. Where did you take him now? Let him out at once." The other elders quickly collected their thoughts too. They stared at Qin Nan while unleashing their auras. Qin Nan remained unmoved. His expression remained the same as he said calmly, "Elders, Master Yuanji has made a bet with Master Liu Jie before the battle of will between me and Master Liu Jie. As long as I defeat Master Liu Jie, I can do whatever I want to him. What's wrong with me keeping him for now? Are you going back on your words?" Yuanji and Yuanjue straightened his face and said, "Elders, please follow the rules. Otherwise, I'll report it to Master and ask him to uphold justice." The great elder glared at him and said coldly, "Master Lin, even though that's what you say, there's still a bottom line and principles. You can't just do whatever you want. Otherwise, wouldn't you be able to kill him as you please?" The other cultivators nodded in agreement. Qin Nan's expression remained the same as he said, "Elders, don't worry, Liu Jie won't be harmed by me. I'll let him out in half a month at most." "No way." The great elder rejected the suggestion without hesitation. He said firmly, "Master Lin, you can't take Liu Jie away. If you have any other requests, feel free to tell us. As long as it's reasonable, we'll agree to it." The other elders all put their palms together and chanted Amitabha. The atmosphere at the scene froze for a moment. Immortal flames flickered in Qin Nan's eyes. Any other requests? What was the point of it? "Elders, what if I insist on taking him away?" A formless aura burst out from Qin Nan's body, as if he was a peerless emperor. "Great elder, I say, how can you be so unreasonable? That's what the bet is." Yuanji and Yuanjue immediately shielded Qin Nan when they saw the situation. "Master Lin, we have no choice but to offend you." The great elder ignored Yuanji and Yuanjue. He unleashed his aura of the peak peerless ruler realm. His figure expanded rapidly and turned into a golden Buddha over 200 zhang tall within the blink of an eye. Master Lin, we'll stop when you let Liu Jie out? The great elder's voice exploded in the hall like a clap of thunder. A giant palm emitted a blinding Bodhi glow as it swung at Qin Nan. This palm was no longer the palm of the illusory Buddha from before. It was completely real and possessed the power to destroy everything in its path. You bald donkey, you're seriously attacking. Yuanji and Yuanjue were startled. Fiery dragon soaring art. Qin Nan unleashed the immortal force in his body. Wisps of Tao-melting immortal flames encapsulated his figure and formed the illusionary figure of a dragon. It reached out its claws and swung forward. Bang! Following a huge blast, strong gusts of wind surged in all directions. At this moment, the entire heart-cleansing Zen temple was filled with countless Buddhist lights to avoid being injured by the shockwaves of the battle. What's going on? Someone is attacking the heart-cleansing temple? Chapter 1904. The brawl. Everyone knew that the heart-cleansing temple was one of the more famous temples and cities under the ancient Bodhi temple's rule. It had a lot of people, thus it had always forbidden outsiders from using violence. Once someone used violence, it would be considered disrespectful to the Buddhas of the ancient Bodhi temple. But now, who on earth was so daring? Demon-suppressing seal. At that instant, the first elder made his move once again. He performed a strange hand seal with a single hand, which crushed downward in Qin Nan's direction with a tremendous force. Qin Nan immediately felt a great pressure. There was still a huge difference between the early stage of the peerless ruler realm and the peak stage of the peerless ruler realm. Lord of all worlds! Qin Nan yelled. At that instant, a magnificent figure floated behind him, unleashing a terrifying aura as he threw a punch forward. The great elder's expression shifted. He withdrew the seal and backed away. May I ask which master of Tao your master is? The great elder asked in a deep voice. The other elders' eyes were also filled with shock. They already knew how extraordinary Qin Nan was when he defeated Liu Jie, yet they did not expect him to be related to a master of Tao. I can't tell you, Qin Nan said coldly. He summoned the divine battle spirit and merged the three into one. His aura immediately skyrocketed to a terrifying level. Tao jolting saber art. Qin Nan took the initiative to make his move. He swung his saber and unleashed wisps of saber intents. A formidable saber intent began to take shape. The great elder wore a stern look. He sat in the air and chanted the scriptures. Each word contained a formidable force that was attacking Qin Nan's saber intent. Even though this Lin Nan had a shocking background, they would not let him take Liu Jie away. Set up the formation. When the other elders saw this, they immediately flew up and emitted a vast Buddha light. Their hands formed a Buddha seal one after another. Apart from the great elder, 2 other elders were peak peerless rulers too. There were 14 peerless rulers in the greater success stage, and 20 in the early stage of the peerless ruler realm. Pfft, do you seriously think you're all monks? You went back on your words after losing the duel, and now you're trying to use force. Master, don't blame me for breaking the rules, Yuji cursed. Yuanji cursed. An illusionary tree appeared behind him and emitted a white glow. It immediately suppressed the Bodhi glow that the elders were emitting. He possessed the flesh of Bodhi of the 10 ancient fleshly flesh. It was able to suppress the Bodhi intents of others apart from the Bodhi glow. These elders glanced at him and pretended not to see him, continuing to form seals. A faintly discernible and terrifying aura immediately spread out. Yuanji's expression shifted slightly. He quickly transmitted his voice. Qin Nan, let's stop for now. Give Liu Jie back to them. I've already sent a message to Master. He'll be here soon. The elders were simply too strong. Even with Ungi's suppression and Qin Nan's outstanding strength, there was no way they would win the duel. They would only suffer a great loss if the duel continued. There's no rush, let's see what they're going to do first. Qin Nan's hair drifted wildly as he slashed forward with his saber. Ungi's heart skipped a beat. He did not say anything further. Even though he had not spent much time with Qin Nan, he was quite familiar with Qin Nan's personality. He knew the man was not an impulsive person. Qin Nan must have some trump cards that he had yet to use. Ancient Bodhidharma Temple, everyone will become Buddhas. Meanwhile, the elders had completed their hand seals. Their faces became stern as they unleashed half of the immortal force in their bodies. Wisps of golden Bodhi glow appeared in the air and quickly formed an ancient temple over 100 zhang tall and over 1,000 zhang long. A vague figure of a Buddha was sitting at the entrance of the ancient temple. The figure of the Buddha was knocking on a wooden fish while chanting a nameless Bodhi scripture. His voice was extremely muffled, making it difficult to hear what he was saying. However, at that instant, Qin Nan sensed a terrifying aura of the Bodhidharma surging in his direction like a tremendous force. It seemed like it was trying to turn him into a Buddha. Qin Nan straightened his face. He was about to unleash the tree of Tao. Hang on, the 3 cultivators of the heaven-slaying sect asked me to unleash the white-blue flower when I was suppressed by the ocean of reincarnation. Qin Nan's eyes burned vigorously with immortal flames. He unleashed the white-blue flower without hesitation. He could use the opportunity to see if the white-blue flower was able to suppress the force of reincarnation or other forces too. The first elder and the other elders were stunned to see a small flower floating toward them without any aura at all. However, their expressions soon changed drastically. When the white-blue flower landed on the ancient temple, an indescribable force burst out of it and crushed the figure of the Buddha, the ancient temple, and everything else into pieces. The Bodhidharma intent vanished too. Only the flower was still blooming. How is this possible? The elders and cultivators, including Ungi and Unjue, were dumbfounded by the sight. Even though the elders did not use their full strength as they did not want to inflict serious damage on Qin Nan, they still used half of their strength. Even an exceptional genius in the peak peerless ruler realm would struggle to nullify the attack. However, Qin Nan, who was only in the early stage of the peerless ruler realm, was able to crush the peerless ruler realm with just a single flower. In addition to them, even Qin Nan was dumbfounded when he saw it again, even though he had already witnessed it once. It was obvious that the white-blue flower was not only effective against the force of reincarnation, it was effective against all kinds of forces too. Qin Nan, what exactly is that flower? Ungi could not help but transmit his voice. Was the flower the natal weapon of the 5th immortal? I'm not sure either. Qin Nan shook his head. He withdrew the white-blue flower and looked at the elders. Everyone, are you still going to fight? If you keep fighting, I'm going to kill you. Hearing those words, the first elder and the other elders came to a realization, and their faces darkened. The impact of the white-blue flower was too great for them to bear. If Lin Nan could keep using it, they would not stand a chance against him even if they teamed up. At this moment, an extremely strange scene appeared in the main hall. A bunch of peak peerless rulers and peerless rulers in the greater success stage did not dare to move recklessly after hearing the words of a peerless ruler in the early stage. Qin Nan let out a relieved sigh. It seemed like he had gotten away with it. However, right at that moment, a dignified voice sounded from the void. Chapter 1905. Old Buddha Nantai. A black tunnel appeared above the hall. An old man with thinly spread hair and a hunched back walked out from it. He was wearing a string of white jade beads on his chest. Qin Nan tensed. Although this old man did not emit any aura, he gave Yi Shiwen a feeling that he was as tall as a mountain. Once the power in his body erupted, it would be truly unstoppable. Nothing could withstand it. Master, you're finally here. Unji and Uenjua were overjoyed. Greetings, old Buddha Nantai. The elders' eyes flickered helplessly, but they did not dare to lower their guard. They quickly greeted old Buddha Nantai. Old Buddha Nantai was a special existence in the ancient Bodhi temple. He was good at eating, drinking, and gambling. He often cursed out loud. He did not seem like a monk at all. Uenji and Uenjua were only behaving like this because of old Buddha Nantai's indulgence. However, no matter how the disciples reacted, or how they ended up infuriating the bodhisattvas of the sect, nothing happened in the end. Rumor had it that old Buddha Nantai was the elder brother of the Bodhi ancestor of the sect, but it was never proven. Master, here's what happened. Uenji glanced at the elders and immediately transmitted his voice. He did not forget to exaggerate and add fuel to the fire. Humph, so much for being the elders of the heart-cleansing temple. What would the others think of our ancient Bodhi temple if they knew what you're doing? Old Buddha Nantai straightened his face. His words shook the hall vigorously. Old Buddha, about this, the elders wore a wry look. Hee Chin Nan, it's fine now that my master is here. My master is a person who pays the most attention to the stakes of a bet. Uenji immediately transmitted his voice to Chin Nan. After all, he was the host of the event. If Chin Nan were to suffer a great loss, he would be utterly embarrassed. That being said, I do appreciate your kind intentions. Old Buddha Nantai suddenly switched the topic. The elders, Uenji and Uenjua, were stunned. Chin Nan also looked at Uenji strangely. Master, Uenji collected his thoughts and was about to speak. Children shouldn't interrupt when adults are talking. Old Buddha Nantai knocked Uenji's head heavily without mercy. Uenji's eyes widened. He could only mutter no matter how hard he tried. He could not even transmit his divine will. Old Buddha, our thoughts are... Seeing that the situation had taken a turn for the better, the elders hurriedly prepared to speak. Didn't I just say it? Children shouldn't interrupt when adults are talking. Old Buddha Nantai harumphed coldly. His aura loomed over the elders, causing them to shudder. Their eyes were filled with astonishment. Not only them, but even Chin Nan was stunned. What was old Buddha Nantai's attitude? Chin Pft cultivator. Old Buddha Nantai wore a kind smile and said, You can't just take Liujia away like that, but it's fine if you're willing to go to the Bodhi pond. Chin Nan's eyes turned cold. He was well aware of what kind of place the Bodhi pond was. The elders immediately let out relieved sighs. So that was what old Buddha Nantai was thinking. Of course, you don't have to stay in the Bodhi pond all the time. A day is enough. It won't be good if you stay there for too long. Old Buddha Nantai said with a smile. Only a day? Chin Nan was startled. The elders felt like vomiting blood. They did not expect old Buddha Nantai to make such a huge turn of events. Everyone knew the Bodhi pond was a magical place that forcibly converted all kinds of living beings. An exceptional genius would have to stay there for at least 4 to 5 months to convert them. In Lin Nan's case, it would most likely take at least 7 months. What was the point of staying there for a day? Old Buddha Nantai was obviously helping Chin Nan. Old Buddha, the great radiant bodhisattva, won't agree to it. The great elder blurted out. The great radiant bodhisattva was Liojia's master, a peak 9 heavens supreme. He was quite respected in the ancient Bodhi temple. Old Buddha Nantai only glanced at the great elder calmly. The great elder immediately swallowed his words. However, Chin Nan could not help but frown. This old Buddha Nantai accidentally mentioned the word Chin. It's obvious that he knows who I am. Why is he asking me to stay at the Bodhi pond for a day? Several thoughts crossed Chin Nan's mind. Someone at old Buddha Nantai's level would surely have a motive behind his actions. Cultivator, just accept my request. If you don't, that bald donkey will surely hunt you down. You won't be able to avoid a lot of trouble. Old Buddha Nantai chuckled. He suddenly transmitted his voice to Chin Nan. Besides, I won't harm you for Feiyue's sake. Qin Nan's heart skipped a beat. Was this old Buddha Nantai close to the copper mirror? Fine, I'll do as you say. Qin Nan brought his fists together after a slight hesitation. He had no idea what the relationship between old Buddha Nantai and the copper mirror was. However, with old Buddha Nantai's cultivation, he could easily take Qin Nan down by force. He was already being very kind by not doing so. That being said, old Buddha Nantai must be up to something. Qin Nan decided to take one step at a time and react accordingly. Old Buddha Nantai wore a smile. He waved his hand, summoning a golden door in the air. You'll reach the Bodhi pond once you enter the door. Old Buddha Nantai flicked his finger and tossed a piece of paper to Qin Nan. He said, "Show it to the people inside the door, and they won't trouble you. I'll look for you in a day's time." Qin Nan nodded. He turned around and entered the entrance without hesitation, disappearing into thin air. The group of elders could only watch helplessly. Yuanji was able to speak again when old Buddha Nantai waved his hand. He immediately blurted out after holding it in for a long time, "Ah, you old prick, don't you know he's my brother? How dare you send him to—" Old Buddha Nantai rolled his eyes. He looked at Yuanjue and said with a smile, "Why didn't you come to see me in the past 10 years? You unfilial disciple, don't you know how greedy I am?" Yuanjue's eyes dimmed. He said, "I've already quit cooking." Old Buddha Nantai waved his hand before Yuanjue could finish. "Come and see me in 5 days." Chapter 1906. Great Radiant Bodhisattva. Few hundred breaths later, one of the 2 forbidden grounds of the ancient Bodhi temple, the Bodhi pond. Qin Nan immediately sensed a magnificent Bodhi intent surging across the place as soon as he stepped out of the pond. Even his figure felt minuscule under the presence of the Bodhi intent. Qin Nan's heart skipped a beat. He secretly activated the Battle Tao Immortal Manuscript and glanced ahead. His surroundings were covered in a golden mist. Even his immortal eyes of the divine god of battle were unable to see through it. Only a few thousand feet in front of him, there was a huge stone pool that covered an area of hundreds of thousands of feet and was more than 50,000 feet wide. Golden Buddha water rippled in it, and in the middle of it stood a towering tree that could not be seen clearly. There were also 4 Buddha statues standing around the stone pool, their faces full of anger. Such a terrifying Bodhi pond, no wonder that guy couldn't survive it. Doom's eyes flickered with great disgust and fear. "Who are you? Why are you trespassing on the forbidden ground?" A loud roar took place. The 4 Buddha statues unleashed a shocking aura that completely surpassed the peerless ruler realm. Qin Nan quickly took out the scroll. The 4 Buddha statues took a glance at the scroll and said helplessly, "Go in then." A great force burst out of them and took the form of a giant hand grabbing Qin Nan. Qin Nan did not resist. He allowed the hand to drag him into the pond. Namo Amitba! Namo Amitba! In the blink of an eye, countless scripture chants echoed in his mind. It did not give him a chaotic feeling, but instead made him feel very comfortable. On top of that, a warm aura encapsulated Qin Nan's figure, calming his mind. This Bodhi pond is extraordinary indeed. Qin Nan's eyes flickered with astonishment. He immediately activated the Battle Tao Immortal Manuscript and the scriptures of Sky Tai Huang. Both the chants and the warm aura only had a weak effect on him. It was completely negligible. Without further ado, Qin Nan sat with his legs crossed and began to cultivate. Time gradually passed. 8 hours were gone fairly quickly. Qin Nan's eyes sprang open with a confused look. This was too strange. Why didn't anything happen? At that instant, Qin Nan sharply sensed a powerful aura descending upon the Bodhi pond. Qin Nan immediately activated the immortal eyes of the divine god of battle and saw an expressionless middle-aged monk with 3 white halos behind his head looking down at the Bodhi pond. His calm eyes happened to meet Qin Nan's gaze. Master Lin, I'm the great Bodhisattva of light, Liujia's master. If you let Liujia go now, I'll give you a Sarira in the early stage of the realm. How's that? The great Bodhisattva of light placed his hand in front of his chest. I'm sorry, Bodhisattva. I'll let Liujia return to the heart-cleansing temple in half a month. I can't let him go yet. Qin Nan's heart was tense, but he did not show it on his face. He could sense that the great Bodhisattva of light was no ordinary Nine Heavens Supreme. He had no chance against him. Master Lin. The great Bodhisattva of light said coldly, don't you think you're safe just because old Buddha Nantai is supporting you? I'll give you one last chance. Qin Nan shook his head without any hesitation. Bodhisattva, Liujia has lost to me, so I have to keep my promise. Is your ancient Bodhi temple one of those unjust orthodoxies? You've got a sharp tongue. The great Bodhisattva of light let out a hollow laugh. Master Lin, I'll remove the seal in your body now. A terrifying Bodhi intent soared into the sky. Bodhisattva, we've already made an exception by letting you fight here. If you use too much of your cultivation, we won't be able to explain ourselves. The four glaring Buddhas came to life once again and blocked most of the Bodhi intent. Don't worry, I know what I'm doing. The great Bodhisattva of light nodded. He withdrew his Bodhi intent and pointed his finger forward. Bang! An earth-shattering explosion resounded in the entire void. Qin Nan's expression shifted tremendously. At that moment, what he felt was not a finger pointing at him. Rather, it was as if the entire sky had gathered together and was pressing down on him. If he tried to resist, he would be like an ant trying to defy the heavens. Qin Nan, go down now. Doom let out a roar. Unstoppable step. Qin Nan unleashed the immortal force in his body. He turned into a shocking ray of light and dove at an unbelievable pace. You're pretty quick at running away. The great Bodhisattva of light performed a hand seal with an expressionless face and waved it downward. Qin Nan and Doom stiffened simultaneously. They could only feel that the entire Bodhi pond had become their enemy. A boundless Bodhi intent poured down on them like a surging tide. It was at least twice as strong as the previous finger. White-blue flower. Qin Nan immediately summoned the flower in the nick of time. Bang! Following a huge blast, the flower did not unleash its outstanding power. It was knocked back into Qin Nan's body. However, it did nullify most of the force for Qin Nan. The remaining force only knocked Qin Nan flying when it landed on him. It did not inflict any actual damage to him. The great Bodhisattva of light's eyes flickered with astonishment. So this was the mysterious trump card that Lin Nan had? It's quite extraordinary indeed. That slap is strong enough to suppress a peak peerless ruler. The great Bodhisattva of light nodded. He was about to make his move again. Bodhisattva, that's enough. The four Bodhi statues were startled when they received the divine sense. They quickly yelled, The great Bodhisattva of light's eyes glittered. He lowered his hand and said calmly, Remember to tell me when he's going to leave. The great Bodhisattva of light vanished into thin air. Consider yourself lucky this time. However, you won't be so lucky next time. Meanwhile, deep inside the Bodhi pond, did he leave? Qin Nan panted heavily. What is old Buddha Nantai trying to do? Doom could not help but grumble. If he was trying to teach Qin Nan a lesson, why did he have to beat around the bush? If he was trying to achieve something, why didn't he just say it out loud? Qin Nan was confused too. He shook his head and adjusted his breathing. The Bodhi intent deep inside the pond is a lot stronger than the Bodhi intent above. Qin Nan soon noticed the difference in his surroundings. He quickly scanned his surroundings. His gaze froze all of a sudden. That was because he saw a small black dot in the depths of the sea. Let's go and take a look. Qin Nan pondered for a moment before diving down. A few moments later, His and Doom's eyes flickered with astonishment. Chapter 1907. The Tree of Spirits, Strange, Too Strange. This light actually contains a trace of murderous malice that is extremely difficult to detect. The astonishment in Doom's eyes grew stronger. Why would there be murderous intent in a place like the Bodhi Pond? Is that so? Qin Nan fully activated his left eye of the divine god of battle. Not far below them there was a gray light, and they could vaguely see the black earth under the light. It was some kind of forbidding aura, but Qin Nan did not sense any murderous intent from it. Let's see if we can go inside. Qin Nan tried to unleash his immortal force after a slight ponder. The immortal force soon disappeared after entering the light. It did not trigger any reaction. TSK, this Bodhi Pond is quite interesting. Doom squinted and said, Qin Nan, I have a hunch that old Buddha Nantai has asked you to come to the Bodhi Pond to lure you into this space. Qin Nan nodded. He had the same thought too. Doom added, Why don't we go inside and take a look? Old Buddha Nantai has put in a lot of effort. This mysterious space is obviously extraordinary. We might find something unexpected. You're right. With a flicker, Qin Nan went through the gray space and landed on the pitch-black ground. He scanned his surroundings. The light was extremely dim, and there was a mysterious force restricting Qin Nan's vision. He could only see 20 zhang ahead of him. Not only is the spiritual qi in this place extremely thin, but there isn't even the slightest trace of Buddhist intent. Qin Nan's eyes flickered with astonishment. He was even more intrigued as he went forward. However, he did not dare to lower his guard in a mysterious place like this. He fully unleashed the immortal force in his body, ready to unleash the tree of Tao and the white-blue flower at any time. Meanwhile, on the Bodhi Pond, the foreign cultivator's aura seems to have stopped above that place. A statue opened its eyes when it sensed something. Should we go and take a look? It wouldn't be good if an outsider were to enter, another stone statue said solemnly. That won't be necessary. Over the past few hundred years, have any exceptional geniuses managed to enter the place? The third statue shook its head and said, Don't forget, we can't enter the Bodhi Pond so easily. The fourth stone statue also spoke, That's right. Furthermore, if this foreign cultivator really enters that place, the Bodhi Pond will react after a few incense sticks of time. At that time, it won't be too late for us to kill him. Even though the outsider had old Buddha Nantai's badge, they would kill him without any hesitation if he was involved with that place. However, they did not notice that an invisible force had bypassed the restriction of the small space where the Bodhi Pond was located and immersed itself in the Bodhi Pond's boundless Bodhi will, concealing something. At this very moment, in the mysterious space beneath the Bodhi pool, Qin Nan had already walked several li away, but aside from the pitch-black land around him, he did not discover anything. What are these? All of a sudden, his footsteps came to a halt as his eyes focused on the 3 pitch-black crystals that were scattered about 30 feet away from him. These crystals were completely irregular in shape. Just now, he felt an extremely unusual aura from them, but when he looked at them carefully again, he didn't find anything. It was as if they were just 3 ordinary crystals. I'll take a few first. Qin Nan stared at the crystals for a while before reaching out his hand to grab them. A heavy feeling immediately rose in his heart, as if he was trying to lift an ancient mountain instead of grabbing a pitch-black crystal. Interesting. The immortal flames in Qin Nan's eyes flickered as he unleashed all his immortal force. He even executed the dragon's soaring immortal art to summon an enormous dragon claw. However, not only did this heavy feeling not lessen, it actually increased by several times. This place is rather unusual. Doom could not help but exclaim. Qin Nan was currently a peerless ruler in the early stage of the peerless ruler realm. His strength when he unleashed his immortal force had reached a terrifying level. However, the crystals were not moving at all, implying that they were extremely terrifying. Forget it, let's keep going. Qin Nan tried a few more times. He shook his head and continued forward after seeing no reaction from the crystals. The mysterious crystals did not show up again for the next few li. It seemed like there were only 3 of them. However, he did find a lot of bones. However, the bones were not complete. They were only finger bones, leg bones, and the like. They no longer had any presence. Qin Nan tried inserting his immortal force into them, but they immediately shattered into pieces. Is that a tree? Qin Nan came to a stop with a doubtful look. In the darkness ahead, there was the outline of a towering ancient tree that was dozens of feet tall. It was faintly discernible, but whether it was the branches or the trunk, they did not give a sense of substance. It was as if they were just lines drawn with a brush. Holy crap, wait! Doom straightened his figure inside the heaven-repairing cauldron. His blood-red eyes widened as he scanned the outline of the ancient tree. A few moments later, he took a deep breath with a face full of astonishment. If I'm not mistaken, this might be one of the 10 ancient trees of the 6 grasses and 3 flowers, the tree of spirits. Rumors say that the tree doesn't have any physical form. It's home to countless lost souls. Qin Nan's heart skipped a beat after hearing Doom's words. The 10 ancient trees of the 6 grasses and 3 flowers were peerless immortal artifacts from the undying Cycle Mountain. Any one of them would grant a person great power. Besides, it was different from the seal of the ancient Yuelu flower that they had acquired. This one was real. Hang on. Doom's tone stiffened as a thought crossed his mind. What's wrong? Is this a great danger? Qin Nan asked immediately. Not exactly. Doom shook his head. He said with a hint of doubt, I once read about it in an ancient book. The tree is evil by nature. It was once refined by a demon authority and devoured the souls of many cultivators. In a way, the tree is considered a treasure of the demon path. However, why would something like that appear in the ancient Bodhi temple? Qin Nan's eyes glittered. Everyone knew that the Bodhi pond was used to forcefully purify cultivators, evil beings, and the like. If there was such a treasure of the demon path, why didn't it purify it instead of sending it deeper into the space instead? Besides, the gray light that they had just entered had a hint of murderous intent. Chapter 1908. For the living beings, come to me, the voice was deep and hoarse, as if it was going to dissipate at any second. There's someone here? Qin Nan and Doom were startled. Qin Nan, what should we do now? Doom asked. He was already thinking of retreating after seeing how strange the place was. If old Buddha Nantai is willing to let us in, let's go and take a look. Qin Nan said after a slight ponder, if old Buddha Nantai knows who I am, he must know that apart from Liujia, Lu Gufeng, and the exceptional geniuses are still in my hands. If something dangerous happens and I die here, even the ancient Bodhi temple won't be able to bear the consequences. Even though it was extremely dangerous for him to defeat the exceptional geniuses in one fell swoop, it also ensured that he would be safer than ever during this period of time. That's right. Doom's eyes glittered. Qin Nan closed his eyes and tried to identify the source of the voice. A few moments later, he finally had a rough idea of where the voice was coming from. He headed in the opposite direction of the Tree of Spirits. Half the period it took an incense stick to burn later, a small mountain appeared in front of Qin Nan. The mountain was less than 1,000 zhang tall. It was pitch black without any ancient trees or flowers. It had an indescribable feeling of death. At the foot of the mountain was the entrance to a cave with a height of 3 zhang. It was bottomless. Come to me, come to me. The voice that had disappeared for a long time appeared once again. It was a lot clearer than before. Qin Nan's eyes glittered. He grabbed the heaven-shattering saber and went into the cave. A cold wind blew out of nowhere. Even though Qin Nan had achieved the early stage of the peerless ruler realm, he still felt a chill from it. The wind was the wind of 9 netherworlds. According to the legends, the wind could only be found deep inside the underworld. When the wind turned into a storm, it would possess a terrifying power. It was strong enough to take away a person's soul. Even a 9 heavens supreme would struggle to survive it. However, Qin Nan went deeper into the cave, yet the wind of 9 netherworlds did not grow any stronger. It was extremely weak. He easily nullified it with the Tao-melting immortal flames. Time gradually passed. A few thousand breaths later, Qin Nan arrived at the bottom of the cave. Is that? Qin Nan and Doom's eyes widened. At the bottom of the cave, with a circumference of 1,000 zhang wide, a sword, a halberd, an ancient nail, and 18 different faint golden weapons were nailing a pitch-black corpse to the wall. Countless runes spread out from beneath each skeleton. On top of it, Qin Nan and Doom also sensed the presence of life from the corpses. None of them were dead yet. Ah, it's a cultivator. Save me, save me, save me. Let me out, let me out. A total of 17 corpses that were initially dead suddenly began to struggle violently. A series of roars exploded in the cave like thunder. A terrifying aura spread across the place. The wind of 9 netherworlds grew a few hundred times stronger all of a sudden. It was howling fiercely too. Crap! Qin Nan was startled. He quickly executed the Battle Tao Immortal Manuscript, the scriptures of Sky Tai Huang, and the Sanqing mystical scriptures simultaneously to unleash a magnificent Tao intent. Meanwhile, the Tao-melting immortal flames burst out of his body and encapsulated him. The 17 corpses that were struggling suddenly fell silent, as if the appearance of the flames was a great shock to them. Tao-melting immortal flames? The Tao-melting immortal flames? So you're that person's successor. Perfect, perfect. The eyes of the 18th corpse, which had remained silent all this time, suddenly emitted 2 blinding green glows, as a tremendous aura was fired into the sky. Give me your life. Following the roar, a strong demonic intent burst out of the corpse and turned into a white demonic hand grabbing at Qin Nan. Holy crap, that old Buddha Nantai is such an asshole. He purposely set us up. Doom cursed. He quickly performed a hand seal to execute a demonic art. However, his demonic intent was just too weak compared to the demonic intent. There was no way he could stand a chance against it. The mysterious corpse was at least a peak 9 heavens supreme. Qin Nan was startled too. He tensed as he prepared to summon the white-blue flower. However, an unexpected change took place. The divine battle spirit that had been dormant in Qin Nan's body floated out of its own accord. Its formidable battle intent surged across the place like a surging tide. The demonic hand that was grabbing at Qin Nan with a shocking aura suddenly halted in its tracks. Divine God of Battle! Damn it, why are you his successor? The 18th corpse let out a shriek. Its previous aura had completely vanished, and the aura it was emitting had completely vanished. The other 17 corpses shuddered before falling silent once again. The cave fell silent once again. Only a faint breeze of the 9 serenities swept across the place. Qin Nan and Doom were startled. They did not expect the demonic creatures that were trying to take their lives to behave like this all of a sudden. It seems like they aren't just afraid of the divine god of battle. The thought crossed Qin Nan's mind. Qin Nan, I don't think there's any point in staying here any longer. Let's go and see if we can subdue the tree of spirits, Since when was there a chamber here? Doom glanced at a chamber in the middle of his sentence. The chamber was located in a corner beside the 18 corpses. It was emitting a faint glow. Let's go and take a look. Qin Nan withdrew the divine battle spirit into his body and entered the chamber with a flicker. The stone chamber was very small, with a radius of only 30 feet. There was nothing inside, except for a light green candle that was burning on the left wall. There's nothing here after such a long time. Doom was a little disappointed. He initially thought there would be some astounding treasure in such a mysterious place. Wait, there seems to be a line of words on the wall. Qin Nan stared at the wall beside the candle. It was covered in a layer of dust. He could only see a rough outline of the words. Where are the words? There's nothing here. Are you sure you're not seeing things? Doom took a closer look. He was utterly confused. You can't see it? Qin Nan's flames flickered. He immediately reached out his hand and brushed the layer of dust away. A line of words that seemed to be carved with a peerless sword appeared. Each stroke and stroke had a shocking sharpness. Chapter 1909. The unreliable old Buddha. Qin Nan read the words one by one with a confused look in his eyes. Song? Who was that? Why did he feel a little familiar? Besides, why did he feel a little uneasy? By the way, the 14th Supreme Taoism faction that the Beast Hide drawing has established is called the Heaven-Slaying Sect. Qin Nan recalled something. In other words, the Beast Hide drawing had treated Tsang as an enemy, one that he hated to the core. However, the Beast Hide drawing was implying that Tsang was not a bad person. It was just that the others were unaware of it. How complicated. Qin Nan shook his head. However, in his heart, he deeply remembered the name Tsang. As his cultivation grew stronger, he learned more about his mysterious past life, the divine god of battle, the Beast Hide drawing, and the rest of the immortals. It would not take long for him to gather all the clues and reveal everything that happened in the era of the divine god of battle and the others. Qin Nan, what did you just say? Is there really a line of words here? Doom opened his blood-red eyes wide and looked around suspiciously. Forget it, let's head out. Qin Nan shook his head. Following that, the man and the beast continued to explore the mysterious space. However, after 2 hours, they still didn't find anything. Qin Nan and Doom had no choice but to turn around and try to subdue the Tree of Spirit. Strangely, when their immortal force came into contact with the Tree of Spirits, the shadow of the tree disappeared, as if it was just an illusion. Qin Nan and Doom had no choice but to give up. They returned to the Bodhi Pond in the end. Apart from the sentence, they did not find anything. A day is up, you can leave now. Some time later, a calm voice came from above. Qin Nan opened his eyes in the Bodhi Pond. He flew out from the pond and entered the Bodhi gate that the statue had left behind. The scenery in front of him twisted. A few moments later, he found himself in a courtyard. It was the courtyard that Yuanji and Yuanjue used to set up their barbecue shop in the Bodhi Prayer City. Qin Nan, are you all right? Yuanji and Yuanjue, who had been waiting for a long time, immediately came over. It's fine. Besides, this Bodhi Pond is pretty interesting. Qin Nan smiled faintly. That's good. Yuanji let out a relieved sigh. He soon thought of something and said fiercely, I didn't expect that old bastard to be so detestable. Fortunately, you're fine. Otherwise, I would have severed my master-disciple relationship with him. A cold harumph came from the rift as soon as he finished the sentence. Old Buddha Nantai appeared in the courtyard out of nowhere. Who do you want to sever your relationship with? Old Buddha Nantai said with a straight face. Mas. Master? Yuanji and Yuanjue were startled. Yuanji quickly collected his thoughts and forced a smile. Master, you know that I can't control my strength at times. I tend to go against my words. Old Buddha Nantai waved his hand and snapped, I'll deal with you two later. I have something to talk to Qin Nan about. You two should head inside first. Yuanji and Yuanjue exchanged glances with one another. They saw a strange look in each other's eyes, but they did not say anything. They nodded and went into the courtyard. Old Buddha Nantai raised his hand and fired a Bodhi glow encapsulating him and Qin Nan. He said with a smile, Cultivator Qin Nan, I'm sorry, it's my fault for setting you up. Qin Nan shook his head. He asked curiously as a thought crossed his mind. Senior, I'm a little confused. Why are you so sure that I'll enter the space? Why do you think I'll be fine after entering the space? Did this old Buddha Nantai know that he had the divine battle spirit, so he was not afraid of the 18 corpses? That's very simple. I purposely asked Feiyue. She told me that if you found the space below, you would surely go in and take a look. She also said that you won't be in any danger. Old Buddha Nantai's smile widened. Qin Nan's lips twisted. It did make sense. After all, the copper mirror was familiar with his personality and the origin of the divine battle spirit. There's something I don't understand. Why did Senior try so hard to lure me into the space? Why didn't you go in yourself? Qin Nan asked. The space below the Bodhi Pond is very special. I can't go in, and neither can many people. Even exceptional geniuses won't be able to find anything after going in there. You're different, since you're the successor of the immortals. Old Buddha Nantai seemed like he was not in the mood to explain further. He switched the topic and said, I only want to know 2 things. Did you see these rocks? He flicked his finger and summoned the illusionary figure of a rock with a Bodhi glow. It was the strange crystal that Qin Nan and Doom found previously. Yes, 3 of them. I tried to bring them out, but they wouldn't budge no matter what I did. Qin Nan said. Even though old Buddha Nantai had kept a lot of things from him, the old man had never harbored any ill will toward him. He even helped him to resolve a great danger. There was no reason for him to keep it a secret. 3 of them, old Buddha Nantai murmured. His eyes suddenly emitted a Bodhi glow. Qin Nan, did you discover 17 corpses of demonic intents that were nailed to the wall? Old Buddha Nantai asked. His eyes flickered with a hint of uneasiness. 17? I saw 18 of them. Qin Nan shook his head. 18? 18. Does that mean the demon was nailed to the wall too? There's always a way out, there's always a way out. Old Buddha Nantai was startled. He soon burst out laughing while unleashing a shocking aura. Qin Nan was startled. Old Buddha Nantai's cultivation was indeed terrifying. Even Qin Nan's heart skipped a beat when he sensed his aura. Cultivator Qin Nan, you've done me a great favor. Old Buddha Nantai collected his thoughts after some time. He withdrew his aura and patted Qin Nan on the shoulder with a blushing face. He said generously, Go ahead and take that Liujie away. Even if you kill him, I'll guarantee your safety. Qin Nan's lips twisted once again. As the saying went, like disciple, like master. Weren't monks supposed to be merciful? Weren't they from the same faction? Why would they kill an exceptional genius of their faction just because of a disagreement? However, things have been a little tense lately. A Bodhi is keeping an eye on me, so I can't protect you too openly. Chapter 1910. A surprising letter. Doom chuckled inside the heaven-repairing cauldron. He initially thought the old man was a formidable foe, yet this was the case. However, he only dared to mock the old man in his heart. Either way, the old man was a lot stronger than him. He did not dare to offend him. Of course, you just need to stay here for 10 days, no, 5 days at most. You will be fine once you leave. The ancient Bodhi temple won't send anyone after you. Old Buddha Nantai said. He handed a talisman to Qin Nan. The talisman was engraved with runes. It was a teleportation talisman. Thank you, Senior. Qin Nan brought his fists together. Even though he had a way to deal with it, it was still a huge problem. Old Buddha Nantai had done him a great favor. There's no time to lose, you should go now. Old Buddha Nantai said. Then, Senior, I'll be leaving first. Qin Nan nodded after a slight ponder. He transmitted his thought to Yuanji and Yuanjue before inserting his immortal force into the talisman. He vanished into thin air. Alright, you two can come out now. Old Buddha Nantai waved his hand to withdraw the Bodhi glow. Master, what are you doing? Don't tell me you're using Qin Nan? Yuanji wore a suspicious look. He was very familiar with his master's personality. Am I that kind of person? Old Buddha Nantai rolled his eyes. He straightened his face and said, Yuanji, listen carefully. From today onward, no matter what happens, you are not allowed to oppose Qin Nan. Yuanji rolled his eyes and said, Do you even need to remind me? Old Buddha Nantai harumphed coldly, Swear an oath. Yuanji and Yuanjue were startled. They rarely saw old Buddha Nantai being so serious. They obeyed him and swore an oath in the end. That's more like it. Old Buddha Nantai's expression softened slightly. He looked at Yuanjue and said, Don't forget what I told you at the beginning. Remember to look for me. After he finished speaking, he disappeared, leaving the two of them in a daze. At the same time, in a hidden cave dwelling in the Taimingshan's small immortal domain. After Qin Nan arrived at this place, he found that there was a very powerful restriction set up around him. He decisively sat down cross-legged and prepared to go into seclusion. Although the journey was a little tortuous, he still got what he wanted in the end. This is the art of Tao seeking of the Heaven Illusionary Ancestor sect. All of a sudden, a frosty voice rang out and countless characters poured into Qin Nan's consciousness. Qin Nan was slightly taken aback. Bronze mirror? Did he get the art of Tao seeking just for him? Then, Qin Nan reacted and the corners of his mouth curled up. The copper mirror knew him well, and so did he. With the copper mirror's personality and status, she would never do such a small thing for him. It was obvious that the former felt a little embarrassed after selling Qin Nan out to old Buddha Nantai. Copper mirror, I didn't expect you to have such a cute side. Qin Nan teased. It seems like you've grown bolder after becoming a peerless ruler. Are you interested in experiencing the feeling of despair? The cold voice appeared once again. A murderous intent loomed over the cave as if it had transcended time and space. Even Qin Nan shivered in fear. Cough cough. Copper mirror, do you know Tsang's background? Qin Nan quickly switched the topic. The cold voice did not appear again. It was obvious that she was ignoring him as usual. Qin Nan shrugged. He quickly immersed himself in cultivating the true scriptures of Heaven Illusionary Tao seeking. Time flowed by like water. After Qin Nan mastered the art of Tao seeking, the people of the Taimingshan's small immortal realm began to hunt down Lin Nan. In addition to the ancient Bodhi temple, the superfluous lifeless sect also sent out many experts to hunt him down. 5 days later, as old Buddha Nantai mentioned, the ancient Bodhi temple had calmed down, but the superfluous lifeless sect was still around. Meanwhile, the ownerless heaven pattern displayed the arts of Tao seeking of the two supreme Taoism factions. There were 3 of them in total. Qin Nan went into seclusion again. The process lasted for 3 days. Qin Nan opened his eyes and merged the Tao intents of the 2 arts of Tao seeking into the tree of Tao seeking. Bang! The aura of the tree began to rise rapidly. The colorful light emitted by the leaves of the tree became brilliant too. It was no longer a simple blue color. However, it seemed to be missing something. It was unable to emit its true brilliance to amaze the heavens and earth. He was only missing the last art of Tao seeking among the 12. Even though the gap was very small, it was similar to the difference between the greater success stage and the perfection stage of the Tao realm. It was only a single step, but the difference was huge. Let's see if I can merge the 13th art of Tao seeking with it. Qin Nan murmured as he triggered the Tao intents. This time, a strange sight took place. The tree of Tao unleashed a strong resistance, not allowing Qin Nan to enter it at all. What's going on? Qin Nan frowned. Based on his deduction, the tree of Tao could merge countless arts of Tao seeking with it. The more it merged with, the stronger it would be. Is it because the Tao glow in my body isn't strong enough? Is it because it can only support 12 arts of Tao seeking? Qin Nan calmed his heart and deduced the tree of Tao seeking carefully as the thought crossed his mind. It was very likely. Forget it, I'll try it when my cultivation is higher and my Tao glow is stronger. Qin Nan shook his head. His eyes glittered. He was only left with the last art of Tao seeking. This is a letter for you, the cold voice said. At that instant, the icy voice appeared once again. A ray of light descended in front of Qin Nan and turned into an illusionary scroll. A letter. Qin Nan was startled. Who sent him a letter? Qin Nan inserted a wisp of immortal force into the scroll. Whoosh! Following a flicker, a figure rose from the ground. It was the old man with thinly spread hair, the first master of the 13th immortal realm, Mo Xiaoli. Qin Nan, kid, you're really something. How long has it been, yet you've already offended so many supreme Taoism factions? Are you trying to defy the heavens? Mo Xiaoli rolled his eyes. All right, I won't waste my time on you. Your 2 wives have woken up. I'll show you. He flicked his finger, summoning 2 light screens. One of them was a towering mountain with a magnificent aura, while the other was a long river like a heavenly dragon. Princess Miao Miao stood at the top of the mountain. Her long hair drifted in the wind as she emitted an immortal glow. She had a faint smile on her face, like a fairy from a painting. Chapter 1911. 10 Desires. Qin Nan stared at the screen with a blank face. A moment later, Mo Xiaoli waved his hand and withdrew the 2 light barriers. He said, for some reason, their cultivation has improved a lot after they recovered. I believe they will achieve the peerless ruler realm in no time. You don't have to worry about it. By the way, I forgot to give you the badges when I left in a hurry last time. Take these 3 badges with you. I'll send you a message once they go to the first immortal realm. Mo Xiaoli's figure vanished after finishing the sentence. 3 strange badges made of light fell into Qin Nan's hand. At that instant, Qin Nan collected his thoughts and wore a smile on his face. It was the best thing in the world. The person you cared about was still alive and doing well. Phew! Qin Nan withdrew his thoughts and murmured, it's time to head to the 10 Desires sect. He put the 3 strange badges away, and extended his divine sense into the 10,000 Tao Immortal badge to search for information about the 10 Desires sect. The 10 Desires sect had the worst reputation among the 14 supreme Taoism factions. The reason being that the 10 Desires sect mainly practiced the 10 Desires. Many of its disciples had done a lot of evil things to improve their cultivation. Many cultivators assumed the 10 Desires sect was a demonic faction. The 10 Desires sect is in the 23rd small immortal realm? Isn't that where Heaven Master Shangyue is? Qin Nan raised his brows. Heaven Master Shangyue was the scarecrow. He had told Qin Nan before he left the 6 Unity Forbidden Land that if Qin Nan had nowhere to go, or if he was interested in learning the art of formations, he could look for him. Doom inside the heaven-repairing cauldron let out a relieved sigh. He had been on tenterhooks when he was in the ancient Bodhi temple. Now that he had someone he knew in the 23rd small immortal realm who had achieved the master realm, he should not be in any danger. Let's go. After Qin Nan understood the situation, he changed his aura and appearance and flew out of the cave. During this time, Qin Nan even found a desolate and uninhabited place. After releasing Lu Jie, Qing Lu, and the others, he snuck into a Buddhist city and boarded a trans-realm immortal ship. Time gradually passed. 3 days later, Qin Nan arrived at the 23rd small immortal realm. Should we look for Heaven Master Shangyue? Qin Nan gave up on the thought after a slight ponder. He was not particularly close with Heaven Master Shangyue. Besides, the man was a terrifying authority in the Master Realm. He might not be happy if he disturbed him. However, Qin Nan did not notice that one of the 3 strange badges in his storage bag had a flash of light. Let's go gather some information first. Qin Nan's figure flashed and flew into a nearby city. This time, he did not ask where the 10 Desires sect was located. Instead, he asked where the strongest cultivators were gathered in the 23rd small immortal realm. He could easily find the information he was looking for if there were enough powerful cultivators around. Besides, Qin Nan had learned a lot from the trip to the ancient Bodhi temple. It was better not to enter the territories of the supreme Taoism factions unless he was left with no choice. If old Buddha Nantai had not shown up at the ancient Bodhi temple, he would have ended up being hunted down. If he was unlucky enough to stumble into a 9 Heavens Supreme, he would be done for. The City of 8 Suns has a lot of factions. There are no rules here? Doesn't it sound like the 4th immortal realm? Let's go there then. Qin Nan soon found a place. He set off again. 2 days later, he arrived at the City of 8 Suns. The city was huge and spacious. Its walls were not built with ores. They were formed naturally by the heavens and earth. They were faint red in color, with a strong presence of the will of the Tao of Fire. It used to be an extraordinary blessed land. However, after the faction that occupied it was destroyed, many powerful rogue cultivators moved into the city. As time went by, the city eventually turned into what it was today. Qin Nan heard many voices as soon as he set foot in the city. Perfect cauldron for dual cultivation, on sale now. Ancient Tao weapon in complete patterns, you can't afford to miss it. Heaven immortal corpse in perfect condition, very rare, come quick. On both sides of the street, vendors were shouting with all their might. Qin Nan lost his interest after taking a quick glance. He was a little disgusted by the fact that many people were selling female cultivators apart from the things related to the demon Tao. Most of the female cultivators used to be disciples of formidable factions. However, they were captured and sold as cauldrons after their factions were destroyed. A restaurant? Let's take a look. After walking past 2 streets, he saw a building with the words Drunken Immortal written on it. With a flicker, he entered the building. The Drunken Immortal Inn had 3 floors. The 3rd floor was a room with all kinds of forbidding auras, preventing people from peeking inside with their divine sense and eye technique. The 1st and 2nd floors were the main halls with a few hundred tables. Half of them were occupied. Qin Nan ordered a jar of wine and sat down to listen to the conversation. Sigh, I was so unlucky yesterday. I almost got it, but I stumbled into one of the 5 demons of the 10 Desires sect. I almost lost my life. I heard Master Dian of the 10 Desires sect has gone to the Withered Tree Cliff. He's planning to achieve the 9 Heavens Supreme Realm. Did you know? Immortal Emperor Gushi, who stirred up a great trouble in the realm of the primordial blood, is here too. Qin Nan paused when he heard Immortal Emperor Gushi's name. However, it was not surprising. Immortal Emperor Gushi was considered a demon cultivator. The 23rd small immortal realm was more suitable for him. Damn it, the Pavilion of 8 Suns almost got me killed. The information they gave me didn't mention the corpse of a 9 Heavens Supreme. Not far from Qin Nan, a bald man with a face full of scars and a murderous aura poured out cursing after gulping down a mouthful of wine. He was not worried that the people around him could hear him. Qin Nan was startled. He went up to the bald man's table and brought his fists together. Cultivator, I'm new here, so I don't know anything about this place. May I ask, is the Pavilion of 8 Suns a place that specializes in selling information? The bald man was startled. He soon wore a bright smile. Are you asking me? Qin Nan nodded. The bald man's expression turned cold as he threw his palm at Qin Nan. He was in the 5th layer Heaven Immortal Realm. His palm contained a shocking force. You shouldn't be so hot-tempered, Qin Nan said calmly. He did not dodge the attack, nor did he make his move. 2 wisps of white flames burst out of his eyes. The bald man suddenly felt as if he was struck by lightning. His face turned slightly pale. He quickly withdrew his palm and squeezed out a smile on his face. This junior has eyes but failed to see. Senior, please don't blame me. Chapter 1912. The Pavilion of 8 Suns. Qin Nan nodded. He disappeared from the inn with a flicker. A few moments later, he arrived at the Pavilion of 8 Suns. The Pavilion of 8 Suns had 5 floors. Qin Nan glanced around and saw many peak heaven immortals and 13 peerless rulers. One of them had even achieved the greater success stage of the peerless ruler realm. It was indeed a formidable faction. Fellow cultivator, are you here not just to gather information, but to take out your enemy too? As soon as Qin Nan entered the pagoda, a cultivator immediately came up to him with a smile. I'm here to gather information, Qin Nan said calmly. At the same time, a faint aura was unleashed from his body. Senior Immortal Emperor, please come with me. The cultivator was startled. He quickly invited Qin Nan in with a gesture. Apart from the first immortal realm, anyone who had achieved the peerless ruler realm was considered an authority in the other immortal realms. Under the guidance of the cultivator, Qin Nan arrived at a room on the 4th floor. In less than 10 breaths' time, a silver-haired old man came up to him with a smile. I'm the vice-patriarch of the Pavilion of 8 Suns, Lin Rongyuan. You can call me Old Lin. Lin Rongyuan looked at Qin Nan. His eyes flickered as he said, How should I address you? Qin Nan said calmly, Cultivator Lin, I'm only here to gather information. Please don't use your eye technique, and don't ask about my background. Lin Rongyuan was an authority in the early stage of the peerless ruler realm too. He could easily see Qin Nan's true appearance with his eye technique. Besides, the Pavilion of 8 Suns was a faction that gathered information. It was likely that they would recognize him. Ha ha ha, don't worry, I'm well aware of the rules. I was just asking. Lin Rongyuan chuckled and said, What kind of information are you looking for? Is it an immortal blessing resource? Or? Qin Nan said after a slight ponder, I would like to know, which forbidden grounds did the exceptional geniuses of the 10 Desires sect go to? Lin Rongyuan's eyes flashed, and the smile on his face deepened. Your Excellency's taste isn't small. Our Pavilion of 8 Suns naturally has this kind of information. However, if we sell this kind of information, what happens in the end might affect the Pavilion of 8 Suns. It's very risky. Do you understand what I mean? Qin Nan heard this and smiled. Cultivator Lin, do not worry. I will not reveal the source of this information. I will also give you enough benefits. He did not have much to offer, but wasn't the ownerless heaven pattern suppressing a bunch of exceptional geniuses? When the time came, he would release one and loot it. That would give him a lot of good stuff. Dealing with a smart person like you is indeed very worry-free. If that's the case, just as Lin Rongyuan was about to speak, a sudden change occurred. Waves of powerful auras exploded in the 1st, 2nd, and 3rd levels of the Pavilion of 8 Suns. At the same time, explosions were heard, followed by cries of agony. The spacious palace began to tremble. Qin Nan and Lin Rongyuan were startled. Hall leader, something bad has happened. The Demon Heart sect, the Nian sect, and the Upper 9 sects are attacking us. An Earth Immortal Realm cultivator rushed into the room and said while panting heavily. However, a giant hand reached out from behind and grabbed his head in the middle of the sentence. His eyes widened as he was knocked unconscious by a great force. He was kicked to the side. Vice Patriarch Lin, it's been a while. A sinister voice appeared, followed by a young man with a mysterious demonic shadow on his chest and sleeve, a young man carrying a long sword on his back, and a glamorous woman in a red dress. Qin Nan glanced at the young man. The young man who spoke was only in the peak Earth Immortal Realm. However, the young man with a long sword and the woman in a red dress were both in the early stage of the Peerless Ruler Realm. Xiaohe? Why is it you again, you bastard? Lin Rongyuan's eyelids jumped. He glanced at the two people behind him and said coldly, Vice Patriarch Zhang, Vice Patriarch Luo, did the Nian sect and the Upper Nine sects submit to the Demon Heart sect? You actually accompanied this little bastard to fight your way here? Aren't you afraid that the Patriarch is going to punish you when he returns? The young man with a long sword and the woman in a red dress remained silent. One was expressionless while the other was smiling. The young man called Xiao He twisted his lips and said, Lin Rongyuan, stop using your Patriarch to pressure us. It'll be at least a year before he returns. Lin Rongyuan's heart sank. He said, Xiao He, what do you want? Xiao He squinted. His eyes emitted a red flicker. Don't you know what I'm thinking? Hurry up and betroth your daughter to me. You will still be my father-in-law. Our two factions can work together and monopolize the information and assassinations. Isn't that great? Lin Rongyuan's expression turned cold. He said, Xiao He, the others might not know about the Demon Heart sect, but do you think I don't know? You're only marrying my daughter so you can cultivate with her heart, right? In your dreams. Xiao He was unmoved. He licked his lips and said, If that's the case, there's nothing more to say. I'll kill everyone in the Pavilion of 8 Suns until you agree to it. As soon as he finished the sentence, the place was filled with explosions and cries of agony. Die. Lin Rongyuan could no longer withhold his anger. He unleashed his immortal force. Vice Patriarch Lin, please don't be rash. Young Patriarch Xiao, he only brought some people here to have a friendly duel with your men. The woman in a red dress giggled. She and the young man carrying a sword moved and surrounded Lin Rongyuan. Meanwhile, the other peerless rulers of the Pavilion of 8 Suns made their moves too. They unleashed shocking auras. However, powerful auras were rising into the sky from all directions too. It was obvious that the experts of the three factions had surrounded the Pavilion of 8 Suns. Vice Patriarch Lin, my patience is limited. If you don't hand your daughter over, the Pavilion of 8 Suns is going to turn into a bloodbath soon. Oh, by the way, you seem to have a few disciples, they. Xiao He's eyes flickered with a hint of pride. Oh Lin Rongyuan, do you really think you can stop me just because you've hidden your daughter away? Lin Rongyuan was even more infuriated, yet he had no choice but to watch as the two peerless rulers stopped him. Chapter 1913. The Supreme Elder and the Patriarch, Qin Nan, did not want to be involved. However, if this Xiao He continued to stir up trouble, he was going to be dragged into it too. Besides, Qin Nan was not too fond of what Xiao He and his men were doing. Xiao He, Lin Rongyuan, and the other two vice-patriarchs were stunned. What did you just say? Xiao He wondered if he had heard it wrong. Did you just ask me to leave? Even though there were 6 factions in the city of 8 Suns, the Demon Heart sect had always been stronger than the other factions. Even some peerless rulers did not dare to offend them. As the young patriarch of the Demon Heart sect, it was his first time being asked to leave. Cultivator, what happened here has nothing to do with you. You should leave at once. Otherwise, this Xiao He won't let you go. Lin Rongyuan quickly transmitted his voice to Qin Nan. He was grateful that Qin Nan had spoken up for him, but he did not want to get the others involved. I don't want to repeat myself, Qin Nan said calmly as if he did not hear it. Xiao He's eyes widened. Anger rose in his chest like flames as he said with an eerie grin, very well, very well. I don't even know you, so it's fine that I didn't trouble you, but you dare. Qin Nan did not bother to listen to his nonsense. He simply threw a slap at him. Xiao He's cultivation was only in the peak Earth immortal realm. He had no chance of dodging the slap. Following a loud slap, Xiao He groaned as he was sent flying out of the room. He slammed into the wall in the distance. Lin Rongyuan and the other two vice-patriarchs stared with their eyes wide open. They did not expect the mysterious young man to make his move and slap Xiao He's face right away. What just happened? Who hurt the young patriarch? The experts of the Demon Heart sect, who were fighting the experts of the Pavilion of 8 Suns, were startled when they saw the slap. The rest of the cultivators were astounded too. They did not expect someone to be so bold. Die. The young man and the woman in a red dress collected their thoughts, as their eyes flickered with murderous intent. With a flicker, they fired 2 powerful attacks in Qin Nan's direction. Their mission this time was to protect the safety of Xiao He. If the latter suffered any harm, then they would definitely be punished. Dragon crosses the heavens. Qin Nan's expression remained the same. Wisps of the Tao-melting immortal flames burst out of his body and encapsulated him. The illusionary figure of an enormous dragon swung its claws forward. What powerful flames! The hearts of the young man and the woman in red trembled. They felt a great sense of crisis, so they quickly changed their positions and retreated. The killing techniques they had unleashed were all incinerated into nothingness. You? How dare you hit me? At this moment, Xiao He finally reacted. He covered his swollen face, and his eyes were filled with anger. He roared, "Everyone, listen up! Kill him! No matter the price, I want him dead!" In his entire life, even his father had never hit him. Kill! A few dozen powerful attacks locked onto Qin Nan from the rift. Several powerful immortal arts were fired at Qin Nan. 3 of them were in the early stage of the Peerless Ruler realm. "Watch out!" Lin Rongyuan yelled with a startled expression. Qin Nan remained in place. 2 wisps of immortal flames flickered in his eyes as he watched the battle. A terrifying battle intent was awakening in his body. "Young man, what's going on here?" Right at this moment, a voice full of energy rang out. A middle-aged man wearing a tricolored robe arrived in the air, while being escorted by a man and a woman. His eyes dimmed when he saw Xiao He's swollen face. An elder of the 10 Desires sect? The hearts of Lin Rongyuan and the experts of the Pavilion of 8 Suns sank when they saw the man. There were rumors that the Demon Heart sect and the 10 Desires sect were closely related. They never believed it, but it turned out to be true. It was most likely the reason why the people of the Lunar sect and the Upper 9 sects were supporting the Demon Heart sect all of a sudden. Uncle Huang. Xiao He was overjoyed when he saw the man. He glared at Qin Nan and said, "Uncle Huang, you're just in time. This man asked me to leave and even slapped me in the face." The middle-aged man called Uncle Huang looked at Qin Nan. He grinned coldly and said, "Cultivator, I don't care who you are, but the Supreme Elder of our sect has set his eyes on Xiao He. He's going to recruit him as his disciple. If you attack him, you're going against the 10 Desires sect." The cultivators of the Pavilion of 8 Suns were astounded. They did not expect the Supreme Elder of the 10 Desires sect to recruit Xiao He. Following it, they witnessed an even more shocking sight. The mysterious cultivator kicked the middle-aged man in the chest. The middle-aged man's cultivation had only reached the heaven immortal realm. There was no way he could resist the kick. He immediately let out a cry of agony as he was sent flying over 100 zhang away. He slammed into several walls. How dare you, Xiao He!" The 2 vice-patriarchs, Lin Rongyuan, and the rest of the cultivators were astounded. They could not believe what they were seeing. The middle-aged man was an elder of the 10 Desires sect. The man was obviously challenging the 10 Desires sect by attacking him. This time, it's completely blown up. Lin Rongyuan took a deep breath. He was planning to ask Qin Nan to leave with an excuse, but he no longer had the right to interfere. If he interfered, it would mean the Pavilion of 8 Suns was siding with Qin Nan. They were challenging the 10 Desires sect too. What are you waiting for? Attack! Quickly kill this bastard! Xiao He uttered a roar, causing the experts to collect their thoughts and focus their auras onto Qin Nan. There were only a few dozen auras just a moment ago, but there were more than 30 of them now. Qin Nan's expression remained the same upon seeing this. He had already expected it when he uttered the words. However, he had to end the battle as soon as possible to avoid exposing his identity. "Humph, I've only been in the City of Eight Suns for less than an hour, yet someone dares to challenge an elder of the Ten Desires sect. I would like to see who he is." At this moment, a thunderous roar exploded in the void. A black-haired old man with a slightly illusory figure and a middle-aged man with a gloomy face walked out of the void at the same time. Chapter 1914. The Outsider. "Greetings, Master." Shao he was startled. He quickly dropped to his knee. "Greetings, Supreme Elder, Patriarch." The experts who were about to make their moves halted and brought their fists together. "The Supreme Elder of the Ten Desires sect is here? The Patriarch of the Demon Heart sect is here too." The experts of the Pavilion of Eight Suns gasped. They did not dare to waste any time and quickly bowed. "It's over." Lin Rongyuan's face turned pale. The Supreme Elder of the Ten Desires sect was a terrifying authority who had achieved the Nine Heavens' supreme realm. Even though he was only a wisp of his will, thus his strength was most likely weaker than the Patriarch of the Demon Heart sect, but a single word from him was enough to make the Pavilion of Eight Suns disappear from the City of Eight Suns. Lin Rongyuan immediately thought of Qin Nan. Instead of feeling grateful, his heart was filled with hatred. This young man could be said to be the main culprit behind all of this. "Oh!" Qin Nan raised his brows. He did not expect the two authorities to be here. If that was the case, things would be a little tricky. "There's no need to bow." The Supreme Elder waved his hand. He looked around and fixed his eyes on Qin Nan. "Who exactly are you?" He already recognized Qin Nan's appearance, but as a Nine Heavens Supreme of a Supreme Taoism faction, he did not bother to remember Qin Nan's appearance just because of Qin Nan's reputation, thus he failed to recognize him. Qin Nan shrugged and said, "I'm just a rogue cultivator." The Patriarch of the Demon Heart sect glanced at Qin Nan coldly and said, "Elder Su, I don't think we should waste our time on him. How about I kill him?" The Supreme Elder waved his hand and said calmly, "That won't be necessary, just beat him up and break his legs. We'll hand him over to Elder Huang for interrogation." If Qin Nan was willing to reveal his identity, the Supreme Elder might consider going easy on him, but since he was unwilling to reveal anything, he would not go easy on him. "Understood." The Patriarch of the Demon Heart sect nodded and glanced at Qin Nan again. A strange smile slowly appeared on his face as a tremendous demonic intent burst out from his back and dyed the surroundings pitch black. "Kneel." He didn't waste any words and directly attacked. Boundless devil energy condensed into 3 skeletal ghost gods, each holding a trident. They stabbed toward Qin Nan's knees, intending to cripple Qin Nan's legs first. "See how this young master will deal with you later." Shao He's expression turned ferocious when he saw this. He had already decided in his heart that when Uncle Huang interrogated this person, he would follow him and properly interrogate him together. A peak peerless ruler? Then we can still have a good fight. Qin Nan's hair danced in the wind as the battle blood in his body began to boil. At that instant a roar exploded without any sign. "Stop it at once." A brilliant immortal ray came and penetrated the 3 ghost gods. Following it, a middle-aged man in a white robe with light blue hair and an extraordinary temperament landed in front of Qin Nan. "The Patriarch of the Blue Sect? Why is he here? Is the young man one of his men?" Many of the cultivators present were stunned. The Blue Sect was one of the 6 factions in the City of Eight Suns. Its scale was only slightly smaller than the Demon Heart sect. However, the people of the Blue Sect had always kept a low profile. They rarely got involved in matters. It was the first time many cultivators had seen the Patriarch of the Blue Sect. Even Qin Nan was startled. He was not familiar with the Patriarch of the Blue Sect. "Are you trying to protect this man? Do you know that this person just injured an elder of the Ten Desires sect and even injured my son?" The patriarch of the demon heart sect snapped, yet he was overjoyed. If the young man was really one of the blue sect, he would only need to fan the flames to eliminate the blue sect with the help of the 10 Desires sect. So what if he's injured? To his surprise, the patriarch of the blue sect did not seem to be bothered at all. He even asked in return. You, the patriarch of the demon heart sect, and the cultivators were startled. Was the patriarch of the blue sect out of his mind? Didn't he know what kind of trouble he would bring upon himself by saying the words? What did you say? The Supreme Elder's expression turned cold. The temperature in the surroundings began to drop rapidly. This young cultivator is an honorable guest of the Shangyue Mountain. If you're looking for trouble, the Shangyue Mountain is more than willing to entertain you. The patriarch of the blue sect calmly took out a badge with the word Moon written on it. An honorable guest of the Shangyue Mountain? The Supreme Elder's expression froze. Shangyue Mountain? The patriarch of the demon heart sect, Lin Rongyuan, and the rest of the cultivators felt a great blast in their minds, as if a great clap of thunder had just exploded in their minds. Ordinary cultivators might not be aware of it, but they were well aware of it. The Shangyue Mountain was a formidable faction hidden in the 23rd small immortal realm. Even the 10 Desires sect would not dare to offend them. Did the young man really have such a shocking background? So you're an honorable guest of the Shangyue Mountain. I guess it's just a misunderstanding. We'll be leaving first. The Supreme Elder collected his thoughts with a calm smile. He waved his sleeves and picked up Elder Huang and the others who were sent flying by Qin Nan before vanishing into thin air. As a 9 Heavens Supreme, he was not afraid of the people of the Shangyue Mountain, but the young man clearly had an extraordinary background if the Shangyue Mountain was referring to him as an honorable guest. It was unnecessary for him to have a conflict with the young man. Young cultivator, are you all right? The patriarch of the blue sect glanced at Qin Nan with a curious look. Was this man the famous Qin Nan? I'm fine, thank you, patriarch. Qin Nan let out a calm smile and glanced at the others. Lin Rongyuan and the others were still in a state of astonishment. The previously scornful young master Xiao He's face turned pale white, and his body began to tremble. So you're the patriarch of the demon heart sect collected his thoughts. His forehead was covered in cold sweat. Patriarch, your son really needs to be disciplined. I'll forgive him this time, but I won't go easy on him the next time I see him. Qin Nan said expressionlessly. He nodded at the patriarch of the blue sect. The two turned into rays of light and flew to the other side of the city. What are you waiting for? Go back now. The sect master of the demon heart sect heaved a sigh of relief when he saw this. He immediately roared and glared fiercely at Xiao He. The cultivators of the Pavilion of 8 Suns were surprised at the scene in front of them. Then they became happy. They didn't expect to be so lucky this time and avoid a huge disaster. Chapter 1915. The Silver Moon Skybridge. Meanwhile, in a room deep inside the Blue Sect, the patriarch of the Blue Sect raised his cup and said with a smile, Cultivator Qin Nan, the Supreme Elder of the Shangyue Mountain, has specifically told me that we'll try our best to satisfy your needs. You might not know this, but even though the Blue Sect isn't huge, we have everything that the Pavilion of 8 Suns is interested in, such as information and assassinations. Qin Nan nodded. He already had a rough idea of what was going on. When he first arrived at the 23rd small immortal realm, Heaven Master Shangyue must have sensed his presence through the badge. However, when he saw that Qin Nan did not transmit his voice, he immediately knew that Qin Nan did not want to disturb him. However, Heaven Master Shangyue still ordered the Shangyue Mountain to keep an eye on Qin Nan's movements at all times. Once Qin Nan was in trouble, the Shangyue Mountain would intervene to save him some unnecessary trouble. It seems like I should pay Heaven Master Shangyue a visit when I have the time. Qin Nan murmured. He straightened his face and said, I won't go easy on you then. I'm only going to the Pavilion of 8 Suns to find the exceptional geniuses of the 10 Desires sect. The patriarch of the Blue sect was startled, but he soon collected his thoughts and said, "The 10 Desires sect has 4 exceptional geniuses. Su Nu, who's known as the strongest, has gone to another small immortal realm to look for a chance to achieve the peerless ruler realm. As for the other 3, they are most likely cultivating in seclusion in their sections." Qin Nan immediately frowned. What should he do now? Should he go after Su Nu? Or should he target those who were once exceptional geniuses, but had now achieved the peerless ruler realm? The last option was the least reliable, as those people would not stay in the 23rd small immortal realm. Most of them would head to the first small immortal realm. For example, if Qin Nan was not looking for an art of Tao seeking, he might have gone to the first small immortal realm too. Is there any way to lure those exceptional geniuses out? Qin Nan asked. If it was possible, he didn't want to chase after Su Nu all the way. Well, the patriarch of the Blue sect said with a wry smile, that's true. However, the Silver Moon Sky Bridge is going there in a few days. Many Earth Immortals, Heaven Immortals, and even peerless rulers are going there. Xia Huanhuan, one of the exceptional geniuses of the 10 Desires sect, might be there too. She's specifically picking a concubine to cultivate with. Qin Nan's expression was immortal realm his realm. Pick a peerless? Why? The patriarch of the Blue sect coughed softly as if he was aware of Qin Nan's doubts. According to the rumors, this Xia Huanhuan is extremely beautiful. Besides, if you were to cultivate with her, not only would you receive great benefits, it would also improve your cultivation. Immortal Qin 9 Immortal Cultivator's cultivation as a cultivation to the cultivator Immortal Eyes Immortal Qin. Lon the patriarch of the Blue sect added after a slight pause, apparently, this Xia Huanhuan has high standards. She's very picky. Ordinary people are unlikely to catch her attention. If she doesn't find someone she likes, she won't show herself. That being said, if cultivator Qin Nan were to show off his strength and steal the limelight, Xia Huanhuan would surely be attracted to him. Qin Nan's lips twisted. Why did it sound like a seduction plan? Qin Nan fell silent for a moment before he said, Patriarch, can you give me a map of the Silver Moon Sky Bridge? The patriarch of the Blue sect immediately handed Qin Nan a scroll. Patriarch, I'll be leaving first. Qin Nan turned around and was about to leave when he suddenly thought of something. He turned around and said sternly, By the way, I hope you can keep it a secret. Don't even tell the people of the Shangyue Mountain. Saying this, he vanished into thin air with a flicker. The patriarch of the Blue sect was startled. He soon wore a grin. This Qin Nan was quite interesting. He did not expect him to be so concerned about it. However, on second thought, if the strongest immortal purposely went to seduce someone, if the outside world knew about it, the Silver Moon Sky Bridge was one of the famous forbidden grounds in the 23rd small immortal realm. It stretched across the ocean like a long dragon. According to the rumors, it was formed from the remains of a 9 heavens supreme after his death. Normally, the Silver Moon Sky Bridge would not be anything special, but every year, it would emit a silver glow for a day or two to turn into ancient palaces. These palaces contained many ancient successions and fortunate encounters, attracting many cultivators to visit them. The city of 8 Suns was not too far away from the Silver Moon Sky Bridge. Qin Nan arrived at the bridge after flying for a day. He glanced into the distance and saw several temporary palaces and temples. Many cultivators were flying over from afar and chatting with one another. It was quite lively. The 9-palace Golden Immortal sect had once again displayed its strength. Many disciples were shuttling back and forth to set up bets, attracting many people. Qin Nan did not approach the bridge to avoid exposing himself. He flew to the bottom of the ocean and sat down with his legs crossed to wait patiently. Time slowly passed, and after another day, there were no less than 300 cultivators gathered in this place. Qin Nan sensed many powerful auras along the way. He could not help but observe them with the immortal eyes of the divine god of battle. Some peerless rulers had arrived too. Two of them had achieved the greater success stage of the peerless ruler realm. Such a strange force, it seems like something unusual is about to happen. Qin Nan raised his head and looked at the bridge as he sensed something. A bright full moon suddenly appeared in the originally dark sky. The moonlight instantly shone on the ground, enveloping the entire bridge and the entire sea. Buzz! The bridge that had been silent for a long time began to shake vigorously. Following it, several strange ancient patterns surfaced on the bridge. Each pattern was emitting a faint blue glow. A mysterious and powerful aura was gathering in the void. As soon as the auras gathered, a huge blast took place. 16 brilliant immortal rays soared into the sky from the bridge, before exploding into light dots in the sky. 1, 2, 3, 15 palaces of different sizes with different glows slowly appeared, unleashing powerful auras that formed a great storm. The palaces have appeared. There are 15 of them this year. It's been 100 years since 15 of them have appeared. Ha ha ha, it seems like we've made the right choice. Fellow cultivators, let's go. Chapter 1916. Xia Huan. It was at this moment that another change occurred. A few hundred immortal rays burst out from the 15 palaces. Each of the immortal rays formed a jade stone around the size of a palm, each emitting a strange aura. The soul jades are here. There are so many soul jades this year, we must grab a few more. The cultivators immediately unleashed their auras and executed their immortal arts. The soul jades were unique to the Silver Moon Sky Bridge. The more soul jades they grabbed, the easier it was for them to avoid the dangers in the palaces, or acquire some unique successions and fortunate encounters. Bang bang bang! In an instant, a series of explosions rang out, and countless gusts of wind swept out in all directions. The peerless rulers were the center of attention in the chaotic battle. Each of their immortal arts was shockingly powerful. The other cultivators were no match for them. Qin Nan watched in silence without making a move. The flames in his eyes flickered all of a sudden. A moment ago, he saw a wisp of eye technique coming from above the 15 palaces. It was obvious that someone was casting an art in the distance to observe the battle. The person was most likely Xia Huan. Doom, can you use your eye technique to find the person who is casting the art? Qin Nan asked quickly. Do you think I'm a 9 Heavens Supreme? Doom rolled his eyes. Qin Nan wore a helpless look. He had no choice but to give up on the thought. Forget it, let's wait a little longer. This Xia Huan will show herself once she has her eyes on someone. Qin Nan murmured. In addition to Qin Nan, many cultivators sensed the presence of the eye technique too. Their eyes flickered as they executed their immortal arts with greater effort. Time gradually passed. The chaotic battle grew fiercer. Cries of agony were heard from time to time. Some heaven immortals who were severely injured quickly withdrew from the battle. Some earth immortals even died on the spot if they were not careful enough. As for the peerless rulers, most of them had gone into the palaces and vanished after claiming a certain number of soul jade. Why isn't Xia Huan here yet? Don't tell me you don't have anyone you like? Qin Nan frowned. Logically speaking, after such a long time, Xia Huan should have found a boy toy that she liked. He, little brat, in this king's opinion, that girl Xia Huan probably hasn't been chosen yet. Why don't you hurry up and show off a little and attract her over? If you continue to wait, she might leave. Doom said mockingly. Qin Nan's expression changed. He was very reluctant to go out and seduce others. What kind of joke was this? He was the successor of the 5th immortal, the current strongest immortal. How could he do something so immoral? Forget it. Qin Nan clenched his teeth as his aura burst out, evaporating the water within 1,000 zhang around him. Everything is for the sake of cultivation. Qin Nan silently comforted himself. He pushed off the ground with the tip of his foot. Like a peerless sword, he broke through the surface of the sea and charged into the midst of the cultivators. Another peerless ruler? Qin Nan's arrival immediately attracted a lot of attention. The eyes of many cultivators widened. The soul jades here are all mine, Qin Nan said calmly. His hair that he purposely turned black drifted in the wind. He waved his hand, summoning an invisible force from the rift. It grabbed the soul jades that the cultivators were fighting over and dragged them into it. The cultivators glared at Qin Nan, yet they did not dare to make a move. Kid, those who bully the heaven immortals and earth immortals will only think you're bullying them instead of being imperious. You should focus on the peerless rulers instead. Doom was enjoying watching the battle. He began to guide Qin Nan like a master. Qin Nan's lips twisted. He glanced around and locked his gaze on a certain spot. With a flicker, he put the soul jades into his storage bag under the astounded gaze of the cultivators. From the start of the chaotic battle until now, it could be said that he had collected the most soul jade. Cultivator, aren't you being a little too greedy? A middle-aged man with 2 unique runes in his eyes let out a hollow laugh. He unleashed a terrifying eye technique and summoned several immortal swords in the rift. He was one of the peerless rulers that had come. Qin Nan happened to take all the soul jades that he had set his eyes on. That's right, hand over the soul jades. The rest of the heaven immortals and earth immortals were already enraged. They immediately executed their immortal arts when they saw a peerless ruler trying to take the initiative. Haha, Qin Nan, it's time for you to show off. You must keep an expressionless face and look down at them. You must make your moves clean, and don't attack more than 10 times. You must show them your strength. Doom burst out laughing. Qin Nan's heart shuddered, yet he still did as he was told. He quickly withdrew his expression and placed his hands behind him with a cold look. He glanced down at the peerless rulers and cultivators that were charging at him. Looking from afar, he looked like a peerless marquis. Down-melting immortal flames. Qin Nan made his move. He slowly walked toward the crowd. White flames burst out of his back and turned into immortal swords or fiery dragons. Bang, bang, bang. The immortal arts were shattered into pieces by the flames. Who exactly are you? Why do you have such terrifying flames? The peerless ruler who was using his eye technique was startled. A strong sense of danger rose in his heart. He quickly took out an ancient Dao weapon to protect himself. The flames poured down and burned the Dao weapon into ashes. The remaining force knocked the peerless ruler flying. Such a strong cultivation. The rest of the peerless rulers, the heaven immortals, and the earth immortals were astounded upon seeing this. Qin Nan continued to walk toward the crowd and defeated the heaven immortals. In front of him, no one was a match for him at all. That's right, that's the way, that's what I want. Women nowadays like the imperious aura. I can guarantee that in less than 5 breaths she will. Doom said. However, before he could finish, a glamorous figure came from the sky in the distance at a shocking pace. She was wearing a red dress and had fair skin. Her eyes were seductive as if they were made of spring. Ha ha ha, what did I say? Doom burst out laughing. He seemed quite proud of himself. Qin Nan felt strange. He did not think he would be able to seduce the woman. Meanwhile, the glamorous figure arrived in front of Qin Nan. She nullified the flames and blocked the path of a cultivator. She brought her fists together at Qin Nan and spoke in a pleasant voice. Chapter 1917. An audacious martial art. Behind Xia Huanhuan stood a young man with long hair, sharp brows, and a chiseled face. He was wearing a long white robe. The young man's cultivation was only in the first layer heaven immortal realm. That's Xia Huanhuan. Who's that guy? She has her eyes on him. The cultivators nearby immediately looked at the young man. Many of them were looking at him with great jealousy and envy. The young man's face was filled with joy. The reason he came here this time was to become Xia Huanhuan's boy toy. Only Qin Nan's lips were twitching uncontrollably. To his surprise, as the successor of the fifth immortal, the current strongest immortal, he had purposely lowered his bottom line to seduce Xia Huanhuan, yet, ha ha! Doom burst out laughing inside the heaven-repairing cauldron. What a slap to the face! Xia Huanhuan's action was too much of a slap to his face. Doom, if you dare laugh again, I'll go to the ancient Bodhi temple and ask Senior Old Buddha Nantai to throw you into the Bodhi pond. Qin Nan said while clenching his teeth. Ha 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 ha! To his surprise, not only did Doom not stop laughing, he even burst out laughing. Qin Nan's lips twisted again. He decisively ignored Doom and took a few deep breaths to calm his thoughts. I won't mind letting him go, but you'll have to come with me. Qin Nan made his move after finishing the sentence. The Tao-melting immortal flames gathered into an enormous dragon claw grabbing at Xia Huanhuan. He's targeting Xia Huanhuan? Many of the cultivators present were stunned. Even Xia Huanhuan was the same. If it was any other small immortal realm, it was not surprising for a peerless ruler to target an exceptional genius in the heaven immortal realm, but they were currently in the 23rd small immortal realm. Even a 9 heavens supreme would show some respect to Xia Huanhuan instead of attacking her recklessly, let alone a peerless ruler. After all, it was equivalent to challenging the 10 Desires sect. What did this little girl do wrong to offend Senior? I hope Senior can give me some pointers. This little girl will definitely make more improvements in the future. Xia Huanhuan asked with a trace of doubt in her beautiful eyes. At the same time, a pair of jade-like hands formed a miraculous seal. Strands of demon chi fell from the void and intertwined into a large net, blocking the flame dragon claw. There's no enmity between us. I just need your help with something. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. Qin Nan said calmly. He activated the Battle Tao Immortal Manuscript. A magnificent battle intent surged in all directions. Senior, I'm sorry. This little girl still has important matters to attend to, so I can't stay here for long. When Xia Huanhuan saw this, she immediately grabbed the young man with her jade-like hands. At the same time, she took out an ancient Tao artifact. It emitted a shocking light and wrapped them up before they fled into the distance. Qin Nan reached out and grabbed at the void. At that instant, the space around Xia Huanhuan was shattered into pieces. A tremendous force surged toward Xia Huanhuan like a surging ocean. He's no ordinary peerless ruler. Xia Huanhuan felt a great sense of crisis. In that split second, her figure suddenly changed, turning into a beam of rainbow light that rushed into the largest palace in the void. Very well. Immortal flames flickered in Qin Nan's eyes. He went into the palace too. He did not use much of his strength when he attacked, just so he could force Xia Huanhuan into the palace. After all, there were too many cultivators on the bridge. If he suppressed Xia Huanhuan on the spot and put her into the ownerless heaven pattern, it would bring him great trouble. At this very moment, in the palace on a vast plain, Xia Huanhuan was flying forward at a shocking pace, but Qin Nan was even faster. At this rate, he would catch up to her in just 3 breaths' time. Tao Scriptures of 10 Desires, Portrait of the Mortal World. Xia Huanhuan straightened her face. She executed an art of Tao seeking and flicked her finger. Following this, the scenery around Qin Nan began to change. Countless cultivators appeared around him. Some were angry, some were sad, some were joyful, etc. They all had different expressions. Qin Nan glanced at them and threw a punch forward. Bang! Everything returned to nothingness and ceased to exist. Sky-stride blow. Qin Nan's figure appeared above Xia Huanhuan with a flicker. His aura was like an ancient mountain crushing downward, causing Xia Huanhuan's expression to change tremendously. Supreme Tao Will. Xia Huanhuan quickly took out a talisman without hesitation. A magnificent figure floated out of it. She has something like that? Qin Nan raised his brows. With a thought, a magnificent figure appeared behind Qin Nan and suppressed the will of the nine heavens, Supreme Being. Lord of all worlds? Xia Huanhuan's eyes widened. The fact that the mysterious peerless ruler was able to execute the move implied that not only did he possess a shocking background, he was also an exceptional genius. Who exactly is he? Why is he targeting me? Xia Huanhuan was even more confused. However, she had no time to overthink due to the strong sense of danger she had never felt before. She clenched her teeth and wore a determined look. Tao Scriptures of 10 Desires, Tao Art of Great Desires. She opened her lips and spat out a faint red aura. It surged into the surroundings at a shocking pace and surrounded Qin Nan. This Tao art. Qin Nan's eyes flickered with astonishment. He felt a strange force peeking into his mind. Following it, a shocking sight took place. Xia Huanhuan's appearance suddenly changed into Princess Miao Miao's appearance. Husband, why are you trying to kill me? Princess Miao Miao approached Qin Nan with a pout. Her eyes flickered with tears, giving her a pitiful look. A moment later, her appearance changed again. She turned into Jiang Bailan with white hair drifting in the wind. This Tao Scriptures of 10 Desires is impressive indeed. It can peek into a person's heart and know what they love. Qin Nan exclaimed in his heart. Even his Tao heart was slightly startled when he saw Princess Miao Miao and Jiang Bailan. That being said, the difference between our cultivation levels is too great. Qin Nan shook his head. He was about to make his move. However, at that instant, Jiang Bailan's appearance changed once again, turning into a peerless beauty. Her face was expressionless, as if she had been frozen for 10,000 years, standing aloof from the world. F***K me, Qin Nan, how dare you? You've been eyeing the Empress all this while. Chapter 1918. Gooing this, Qin Nan was dumbfounded. Why would the copper mirror show up all of a sudden? Qin Nan, I have to say, Empress Feiyue is indeed a rare beauty. She's also a great talent. You're going to make a fortune if you can hook her up. Oh right, that Supreme Rideo too, why don't you marry her too? Doom grinned as he collected his thoughts. Enough with the nonsense. Qin Nan twisted his lips. It's working. Xia Huanhuan, who was standing opposite them, felt slightly joyful after seeing Qin Nan's reaction. Without hesitation, she placed her hand on her waist and began to undo the dress on her body. She knew there was a huge difference between her cultivation and the mysterious young man's. She could only distract him for a brief moment with her appearance. Therefore, she wanted to make another move. She wanted to undress and make the other party lose his mind. Pooh! Qin Nan and Doom almost vomited blood. This Xia Huanhuan was willing to do anything just to run away. Most importantly, it was fine if she was targeting someone else, but she was targeting Qin Nan. The red string on Qin Nan's body had yet to dissipate. Xia Huanhuan was able to see everything through the red string when she was disguised as Empress Feiyue. Xia Huanhuan was overjoyed when she saw Qin Nan losing his composure again. She was more confident now. Meanwhile, her expression became seductive with a hint of sadness. Husband, why are you treating me as your enemy? Do you know how you feel about me? As she spoke, she untied her dress, revealing her smooth, jade-like shoulders. Then, she prepared to take off her dress completely. Bang! In the nick of time, a magnificent will burst out from the ground. The rift in all directions shook vigorously. The whole place was plunged into darkness. Xia Huanhuan's eyes widened. Her face was filled with astonishment. How did the young man unleash such a terrifying will? Just as this thought surfaced in her mind, This incomparably terrifying willpower directly rushed into her heart and knocked her unconscious. Her appearance also returned to its original state. It was obvious that Empress Feiyue was the one who had made the move instead of Qin Nan. Copper mirror, this Qin Nan's expression became incomparably awkward. No matter what, Xia Huan had become like this because of him. If there's a next time, I'll make you a eunuch in the secular world. A cold voice rang out. Then, everything dissipated into nothingness. Phew, that's good, that's good. Qin Nan heaved a long sigh of relief. He was quite familiar with the copper mirror. If she was really angry, she would not waste her time talking to him. She would attack him right away. Qin Nan withdrew his thoughts. He immediately executed the ownerless heaven pattern to draw Xia Huan into it. He looked at the young man that Xia Huan had brought with her. Senior, the young man shrunk his neck, his face full of despair. Originally, he thought that his chance to make a meteoric rise had come. In the end, he did not expect that he would be implicated in such a huge disaster. You, come with me too. Qin Nan flicked his finger and knocked the young man unconscious before drawing him into the ownerless heaven pattern. TSK, Qin Nan, you've only subdued exceptional geniuses along the way. You've never subdued any heaven immortals. Don't tell me you're holding a grudge against him because Xia Huan chose him. Are you trying to get your revenge? Doom teased. Qin Nan rolled his eyes. He could not be bothered with Doom. He quickly scanned his surroundings. While he was chasing after Xia Huan, he had unknowingly arrived at the depths of the mysterious palace. There were no cultivators in the surroundings. Not far ahead stood a towering mountain emitting a faint blue glow. Halfway up the mountain, there was an ancient city floating in the air. Qin Nan's immortal eyes of the divine god of battle detected extraordinary auras in the city and the mountain. It was obvious that the two places had ancient successions and fortunate encounters. However, Qin Nan was not too interested in them. He soon withdrew his gaze. He had just subdued Xia Huan. The people of the 10 Desires sect would soon notice that Xia Huan was gone. They would send a lot of experts here. He had to leave as soon as possible. Buzz, buzz, buzz. At that instant, a series of vibrations could be heard. Qin Nan took a glimpse and saw thousands of pitch-black ancient insects flying out from the mountain in all directions. The trembling sound came from the rapid flapping of their wings. Doom, are those? Qin Nan's eyes were filled with surprise. That's right, those are venomous insects, black venomous immortal venomous insect. Only peerless rulers can nurture them. Doom's eyes flickered coldly. He said with a hollow laugh, "It seems like we're in luck, we've stumbled into an old friend." The old friend he was referring to was immortal Emperor Gushi, whom he had fought in the realm of the primordial blood. Qin Nan happened to hear rumors that immortal Emperor Gushi had come to the 23rd small immortal realm, but he did not expect to stumble into him here. Qin Nan quickly executed his art of Tao seeking and altered his aura when he sensed the venomous insects looking at him. The immortal flames in his eyes flickered. He did not have a good impression of immortal Emperor Gushi. If he did not discover the Lord of all worlds by chance, he would not know what would happen to him in the end. Qin Nan, let's go and take a look. Immortal Emperor Gushi is known as one of the 3 peerless rulers. He must be after some treasure or successions if he's here. Doom said. Qin Nan nodded after a slight ponder. He was not in a rush for time. He still had some time left. He decided to take a look first. It was not too late for him to leave if he did not find anything. Whoosh! Qin Nan immediately went to the mountain with a flicker. He activated the immortal eyes of the divine god of battle to scan his surroundings. This is it. A few moments later, Qin Nan fixed his gaze on a towering tree. He flicked his immortal force at it. The leaves of the tree immediately fell to the ground and formed a formation. As soon as Qin Nan stepped onto the formation, His figure suddenly sank as he was dragged down by a great force, and arrived at a tunnel. The path was 5 zhang tall and 3 zhang wide. It was humid with a shocking, immortal intent. Qin Nan withdrew his aura and went forward. A moment later, the path opened up before him. He found himself in a stone chamber with a circumference of a few thousand zhang. The walls on both sides were carved with ancient drawings and lit by candles. Everything here has been taken away. Qin Nan mumbled to himself as he glanced at the empty platforms, causing him to frown. It was obvious that immortal Emperor Gushi had been here before, but where was he? Where did he go? Chapter 1919. 9 Deities Realm Crossing Altar. Qin Nan shifted his gaze when he heard Doom's voice. Sure enough, the corners of the stone room were densely covered with carvings. Doom, how strong can you be if you use your full strength? Qin Nan did not move, but asked first. Hee, kid, don't you worry, even though I've only recovered 1/10 of my peak strength. The strength of the perfect stage of the Tao realm is beyond your imagination. I have no problem fighting an ordinary peerless ruler in the greater success stage. Doom said proudly. His strength in the realm of the primordial blood was only SOSO because he had just comprehended the perfect stage of the Tao realm, thus he was unable to unleash his full strength. That's good. Qin Nan did not hesitate. He raised his hand and inserted his immortal force into the rune. A great force burst out of it and devoured his figure. A few moments later, Qin Nan found himself in an unfamiliar place. The surroundings were filled with magnificent ancient mountains. The cries of various beasts could be heard from time to time. Beneath his feet was a huge, dilapidated dojo. At the end of the dojo were 6 palaces that were filled with cracks and dim light. Buzz, buzz, buzz. Meanwhile, countless black goo immortal worms were flying toward the palace from all directions. Each of the goo immortal worms was holding a small piece of mysterious stone that was emitting a strange glow. They were flying into the palace at the center. Qin Nan activated the immortal eyes of the divine god of battle. His eyes glittered following a glimpse. The palace was filled with a mysterious force. It felt like his eye technique was stuck in a swamp. He was unable to see anything out of the ordinary. Qin Nan took a deep breath and withdrew his aura as much as possible, before approaching the palace silently. There's a huge crack over there. Qin Nan glanced around and locked his gaze on the upper right corner of the palace. He leapt into the air and peeked into the crack. With a single glance, his pupils suddenly shrank. Inside the spacious palace, there was a light blue altar over 20 zhang tall and 9 zhang wide. The mysterious rocks moved by the goo worms were continuously thrown into the altar. Other than that, there was a figure seated in the 4 corners of the altar. The aura that they emanated was as deep and unfathomable as the ocean. The 4 cultivators were all in the greater success stage of the peerless ruler realm. Their leader was none other than immortal Emperor Gushi, one of the 3 peerless rulers. Qin Nan, they seemed to be building the 9 gods' realm-crossing altar. Shock and bewilderment appeared in Doom's eyes. What is that? Doom immediately said, there are a few hundred ways to return to the secondary lower realm from the primary upper realm. One of them is through this altar. Qin Nan's eyes suddenly narrowed. He had been considering returning to the secondary lower realm to visit his father, Longhu, Sima Kong, and the others. However, why were immortal Emperor Gushi and the others going to the secondary lower realm too? Did they ascend from the secondary lower realm? It's actually quite normal. Even though returning to the secondary lower realm from the primary upper realm will greatly suppress their cultivation, their martial arts, knowledge, and so on are incomparable to the cultivators of the secondary lower realm. As such, many cultivators from the primary upper realm are more than willing to return to the secondary lower realm to establish their own factions and become an authority. They would rather be the head of a chicken than the tail of a phoenix. Doom said. Qin Nan frowned upon hearing the words. The cultivators that Doom mentioned were those who had lost their ambition. However, immortal Emperor Gushi was once an exceptional genius. He even teamed up with the ancient taboo to kill many exceptional geniuses just to claim the fruits of the heavens and earth. Why would someone like him be willing to return to the secondary lower realm? Damn it, what kind of shitty altar is this? I've been building it for half a month. Why isn't it done yet? A peerless ruler whose face was covered in scars said impatiently. Qin Nan's body tensed. Nian Wang, be quiet. You'll have to bear the consequences if you disturb Gushi. Another peerless ruler covered in ancient talismans said calmly. Gushi? Do you really think I'm afraid of him? In the past half a month, the person who was referred to as Nian Wang suddenly unleashed a tremendous aura as he turned into a blinding beam of light, charging in Qin Nan's direction at a shocking pace. Great ferocious seal. Nian Wang swung his hand forward with a ferocious aura. Dao melting immortal flames. Qin Nan was long prepared for it. Flames burst out of his body and blocked the palm with brute force, preventing it from moving any further. Oh, you're pretty smart. You know we've noticed your presence. Nian Wang raised his brows and asked curiously, Kid, which faction are you from? The other two peerless rulers went up to Nian Wang and looked at Qin Nan. Before Qin Nan could speak, immortal Emperor Gushi, who was sitting with his legs crossed, slowly opened his eyes and spoke with a hoarse voice. It seems like you've followed my venomous insects? Great, I happen to be in need of the blood of an immortal emperor. Qin Nan? When immortal Emperor Gushi saw Qin Nan, he immediately saw Qin Nan's true appearance and the familiar blood hair. His face was filled with astonishment. What? You're the successor of the immortals, Qin Nan? Nian Wang and the other two peerless rulers were dumbfounded too. They did not expect the infamous Qin Nan would show up in front of them. Gushi, it's been a while. Qin Nan wore a calm smile and revealed his true appearance. His right arm exploded and turned into the heaven-shattering saber. Its saber intent spread in all directions. Ha ha ha, Qin Nan, oh Qin Nan, it's really the case that you chose to walk the path to hell instead. Immortal Emperor Gushi burst out laughing as he collected his thoughts. His eyes flickered passionately. You still have the three fruits of the heavens and earth, right? Nian Wang and the other two peerless rulers were startled. Those were three fruits of the heavens and earth. Regardless of who it was, they would surely achieve the legendary perfect stage of the Tao realm. I'm sorry, I've already consumed them, Qin Nan said with a smile. You've consumed them? Immortal Emperor Gushi's expression stiffened. He soon said with a hollow laugh, Stop trying to trick me. How could you not achieve the perfect stage of the Tao realm if you consume them? Enough with the nonsense, I'm going to make you die here today. Chapter 1920. 2 against 4. Ha ha ha, show me what the successor of the immortals is capable of. Nian Wang burst out laughing. He drew out a blood-stained halberd from the rift. A ferocious aura spread across the place and turned it into a small domain of darkness. The other two peerless rulers executed their immortal arts too. Even though Qin Nan's cultivation was only in the early stage of the peerless ruler realm, they did not dare to lower their guard. After all, the successor of the immortals was no ordinary exceptional genius. Divine battle spirit, Lord of all worlds. Qin Nan performed a hand seal with a single hand, summoning two magnificent figures behind him. The three merged into one and unleashed an ancient aura crushing down on the four cultivators. In addition to it, the Battle Tao immortal manuscript in his body was fully unleashed. Its battle intent shattered the ferocious aura into pieces. Heaven-repairing cauldron. Qin Nan summoned a huge cauldron with a thought. Roar. Doom let out a roar. His enormous figure sprang out from the cauldron and swung his claws at the peerless rulers, shattering the immortal arts into pieces. Doom, ranked second among the 10 primordial evils? He has already perfected the Tao realm? Nian Wang's eyes flickered with astonishment. He yelled, 1 year a day, 1 day a day, heavenly spear of the 4 directions. Brilliant Tao aura, condense into immortal talismans, feather talisman formation, heaven-killing extreme immortal Tao art. The 3 peerless rulers no longer concealed their strength after realizing the situation they were in. Their figures emitted Tao glows as their Tao intents poured down. They executed their strongest moves and unleashed a shocking might. Even though they were not as strong as immortal Emperor Gushi, they were still reputable cultivators in the 23rd small immortal realm. They had a lot of moves that surpassed ordinary peerless rulers. Qin Nan, stop hiding your strength. I know you have a mysterious move that can summon a mysterious ancient tree. Show it to me. Immortal Emperor Gushi spread his arms and waved them around as if he was setting up a huge net. He was controlling thousands of black immortal venomous insects to form several formations. Tao jolting saber art. Qin Nan ignored the cries. His blood hair drifted wildly as he swung his saber continuously. The saber aura of the saber Tao shattered the venomous insects into pieces. TSK, not releasing it? Do you really think you can take me on just because you've achieved the peerless ruler realm? Immortal King Gushi's eyes turned ferocious. Qin Nan, you are too naive. Last time, it was just that time was too rushed and there were too many of you. Immortal Emperor Gushi's figure expanded as soon as he finished the sentence. His skin turned pitch black as his waist was covered in bloody marks. His hands turned into a pair of icy claws too. Especially his head, which had completely turned into a goo worm. His eyes flickered with a ferocious bloody light, and his teeth had become extremely sharp. Tao technique, Celestial's goo. Following a strange howl, hundreds of explosions took place in the rift. Immortal Emperor Gushi broke free from the suppression of the Lord of all worlds and the divine battle spirit to attack Qin Nan. Everywhere the saber Tao passed by, the formless saber Tao aura shattered. A cold intent exploded in Qin Nan's heart too. As you wish. Qin Nan's eyes flickered with immortal flames as he made up his mind. The tree of Tao was unleashed. Bang! Following a shocking blast, a towering tree emitting various glows rose between the heavens and earth like a giant that had been asleep for tens of thousands of years. Your tree, Immortal Emperor Gushi was astounded. How did the tree change so much in such a short time? Why was the aura he was emitting more than twice as strong as before? Is that, the other 3 peerless rulers shuddered. The successor of the immortals was indeed terrifying. He was only in the early stage of the peerless ruler realm, yet he was able to use such terrifying moves apart from the Lord of all worlds. In the blink of an eye, Immortal Emperor Gushi felt an unprecedented sense of danger. He immediately took out a mysterious fragment. Bang! Strong gusts surged in all directions. The fragment emitted a blinding immortal glow as a mysterious ancient will was awakened from it. However, under that unstoppable power it was still crushed. In addition to it, the remaining force struck Immortal Emperor Gushi like a whip. He let out a cry of agony as he slammed into the palace in the distance and shattered it into pieces. The tree that the kid refined has yet to reach the greater success stage, yet it's already so powerful. Once it reaches the greater success stage, Doom swallowed a mouthful of saliva. Besides, Qin Nan had yet to unleash the arts of Tao seeking in his body. If they were all unleashed at the same time, the outcome would be unimaginable. Skystride blow. Qin Nan quickly withdrew the tree of Tao. He executed the Battle Tao Immortal Manuscript and the scriptures of Sky Tai Huang simultaneously. He gathered his will at the tip of his saber and slashed at Immortal Emperor Gushi. Qin Nan, you're very strong indeed. I'm afraid less than 5 people in the 9 heavens immortal realm, including the monsters in the first immortal realm, are comparable to you. However, I'm going to eliminate you today. Venomous insect ancestor, descend. Immortal Emperor Gushi performed a hand seal. Nian Wang and the other two peerless rulers groaned as their life force and immortal force were forcibly drawn out from their bodies. He spat out 7 drops of blood and sprinkled them into the rift. An invisible force came out of nowhere and sealed off Qin Nan's movement, preventing him from moving. Following that, the surrounding scenery changed completely. The palaces and dojos no longer existed. They were replaced by a pitch-black illusionary mountain with caves of various sizes. Each cave had a strange-looking venomous insect. At the top of the mountain was a terrifying venomous insect. Its blood-red eyes were staring at Qin Nan and the others coldly. Every breath it took formed a terrifying storm. "What's that?" Qin Nan and Doom wore a stern look. "Gushi, you idiot, you even summoned the venomous insect ancestor." Nian Wang and the other two peerless rulers were startled when they sensed the weakness in their bodies. They immediately executed immortal arts and flew into the distance without any hesitation. However, it was already too late. The venomous insects in the caves of various sizes were uttering strange cries. The terrifying venomous insect at the top of the mountain suddenly opened its bloody mouth. A shocking force immediately surged in all directions. Not only did the 3 peerless rulers fail to escape, they were also being dragged backward by the force. Chapter 1921. Seeing the statues of the primordial people again, Dragon's Soaring Art. Qin Nan gathered his aura. He was prepared to face the venomous insect head-on to see how powerful it was. However, his eyes widened all of a sudden. It was because the immortal force and the vast Tao intent in his body were being pulled by an invisible force into the bloody mouth of the venomous insect. "Ha ha, Qin Nan, everything is in vain before the venomous insect progenitor. Bring out the tree you just used. I'll take it out first." Immortal Emperor Gushi burst out laughing. The move was his strongest move. He would suffer a great backlash after using it, but it would be worth it if he could take out Qin Nan. "Is that so? Gushi, don't you know that I'm unbeatable against anyone below the 9 heavens supreme realm?" Qin Nan raised his brows. His aura skyrocketed. He no longer concealed his strength. He took out the white-blue flower. It emitted a faint glow under the strong force. Unbeatable? Just because of the flower? This was the biggest joke in the world. "So what if you're the successor of the immortals? I'm still going to." Immortal Emperor Gushi wore a disdainful look. In his eyes, Qin Nan was going to die in just a few moments. However, before he could finish his words, an incomparably shocking scene occurred. When the white-blue flower was sucked toward the venomous insect progenitor, its petals blossomed slightly as a terrifying force burst out of it. Bang bang bang! A series of explosions took place. The venomous insect progenitor and the venomous insects in the cave cried out in agony before they turned into a bloody mist. The force of the force vanished. The place returned to normal too. This was the power of the flower of eternity. It was indestructible and indestructible. Nothing could stand in its way. How is this possible? Immortal Emperor Gushi, Nian Wang, and the other 2 immortal emperors could not believe their eyes as if they had been struck by lightning. The move was enough to kill an ordinary peak peerless ruler. All Qin Nan did was summon a flower, yet he was able to destroy it so easily? Sky Universe Daoquake Saber Art. Qin Nan unleashed the full potential of the 2 arts of Tao seeking in his body. He gathered the will of the 2 arts of Tao seeking at the tip of his saber and slashed at Immortal Emperor Gushi. Not good! Immortal Emperor Gushi was startled. However, all his moves were suppressed by the divine battle spirit and the Lord of all worlds. He could only watch as the saber landed on his body. No! Immortal Emperor Gushi let out a cry of agony, but it came to a stop before he could finish. His body was completely torn apart by the saber ray, turning into bloody insects that scattered in all directions. Gu sure, I won't give you any chance, Qin Nan said coldly. He attacked again. The Tao-melting immortal flames surged out and engulfed the blood insects, burning them fiercely. Sizzling sounds immediately took place. Even though the blood insects were extraordinary, they still could not resist the power of the Tao-melting immortal flames. They were burned into pitch-black ashes without any sign of life. He's dead. Nian Wang and the other two peerless rulers gasped. That was the renowned immortal Emperor Gushi they were talking about. Run! Soon, the three of them reacted. That terrifying feeling of death had stimulated their survival instincts. They immediately performed a series of forbidden hand seals to burn their life force and even the power of their soul to escape from the place. Trying to run away from me? Doom uttered a thunderous roar. A strong beastly aura burst out of his enormous figure. It formed an invisible realm encapsulating the trio's figure. Even though his current strength was not enough to kill the three peerless rulers in the greater success stage, it was more than enough to trap them for some time. Tree of Tao, destroy! Qin Nan arrived in the air like a peerless godly emperor. Following his roar, the towering tree appeared in front of the three immortal emperors once again. Wu, the three peerless rulers executed their final moves with pale faces. Bang! However, their abilities were simply too insignificant before the giant tree. In an instant, they were suppressed into nothingness. Three peerless rulers in the greater success stage had fallen. Sigh, what a pity, my cultivation is still too weak. Otherwise, I might be able to capture them and interrogate them, Doom sighed. Doom exclaimed. Killing a peerless ruler in the greater success stage and capturing him were two different matters. I should focus on improving the Tree of Tao to the greater success stage as soon as possible. Qin Nan murmured as he calmed his thoughts. An exceptional genius like immortal Emperor Gushi would have a lot of trump cards. If he did not have the white-blue flower, it would take him a lot of effort. In fact, he might even put himself in danger. Huh? There's a storage ring? Doom's eyes glittered all of a sudden. Qin Nan immediately took a closer look and saw a faint black ring emitting a faint glow among the pile of scorched venomous insects. There must be something useful inside. Qin Nan was overjoyed. He quickly took the ring and forcibly removed the forbidding auras inside it. Normally, it was rare for people above the martial monarch realm to leave behind storage bags and storage rings during a fight. The reason being that the power of the fight was simply too terrifying. Ordinary storage bags and other items would not stand a chance against it. Isn't this? Qin Nan inspected the ring with his divine sense. He first saw talismans, artifacts, and natural resources. He then saw 3 lifelike statues around 8 zhang tall with ancient auras. Qin Nan, what's that? Doom quickly went up to Qin Nan. These must be statues of the primordial people. Qin Nan took out the 3 statues and placed them on the ground. TSK, Immortal Emperor Gushi actually has something like this. That means we now have 5 statues of the primordial people. Doom blurted out in surprise, if we can collect a few more statues, we might be able to learn something from them. Qin Nan nodded. He continued to inspect the storage ring. If Immortal Emperor Gushi had spent so much effort on the storage ring, there must be more statues of the primordial people, mem? What's this? As Qin Nan thought, a few moments later, Qin Nan fixed his eyes on a strange scroll. The scroll was around the size of a palm. It was emitting a faint golden glow. It was made of some ancient tree. Chapter 1922. Shocking. Could this be the aura of the Kanglan continent? The thought crossed Qin Nan's mind, but he quickly dismissed it. He clearly remembered the aura of the Kanglan continent. The two places were only slightly similar, but there was still a huge difference between them. Qin Nan did not overthink it. He took out the scroll and removed the forbidding aura on it before flipping it open. Doom poked his head out too. The origin of the heavens and earth is the origin of the heavens and earth. The origin is no weaker than the Tao if you can. Qin Nan and Doom were immediately attracted by the scroll. After half the period it took an incense stick to burn, the man and the beast finally collected their thoughts. Their eyes flickered with astonishment. According to the scroll, every continent and small immortal realm in the secondary lower realm and the primary upper realm had the origin force. This kind of source energy was the source of everything. Its profoundness was not inferior to the illusory Great Tao. In addition to it, the scroll also recorded a method to absorb the origin force. However, the method required the person to go to the secondary lower realm first. It was the reason why immortal Emperor Gushi had teamed up with Nian Wang and the other two peerless rulers to construct the realm-crossing altar of the 9 deities. Don't be surprised, there are many ways to acquire the origin force in the 9 heavens immortal realm. Many powerful cultivators have gone to the secondary lower realm for the origin force. At this moment, a cold voice rang out. Qin Nan's heart skipped a beat. Did that mean the South Heaven Gate and Heaven God Lu were after the origin force too? However, it's extremely difficult to acquire the origin force. Even the authorities in the Master Realm can only acquire a wisp of the origin force of the small immortal realms in the 9 heavens immortal realm. In comparison, the origin force of the continents and realms in the secondary lower realm is a lot simpler, but every origin force has great fortune. For example, the South Heaven Gate, Heaven God Lu, God ranking, and Monarch ranking were destined to fail when they tried to acquire the origin force. Empress Feiyue fell silent after finishing the sentence. Qin Nan had a rough idea of what was going on, thus he lost his interest and put the scroll away into his storage bag. Doom, the realm-crossing altar of the 9 deities, is almost done. Please finish it, Qin Nan said. He would have to return to the Kanglan continent sooner or later. It was better to leave the altar behind. Furthermore, since immortal King Gushi and the others had chosen this place, it was likely that this place was extremely well hidden. Ordinary people would not be able to find it, so there was no need to worry about their safety. You actually ordered this king to do this kind of chore. Doom rolled his eyes in displeasure, but his movements were still nimble. Not only did Qin Nan bring a great shock to the others in the 2 battles that had taken place at the Sky Taihuang sect, it had too. Unknowingly, it had already regarded Qin Nan as a big shot. A few hours later, the realm-crossing altar of the 9 deities was completed. Qin Nan and Doom worked together to set up a few forbidding formations and left a few wisps of divine scent. They then found a teleportation formation nearby and left the place. As Qin Nan had predicted, the 10 Desires sect was infuriated when they discovered Xia Huanhuan's aura had disappeared in the 23rd small immortal realm. They immediately sent out experts to look for clues. After learning what had happened at the Silver Moon Bridge, the 10 Desires sect immediately issued a kill order. Anyone who found the cultivator that had harmed Xia Huanhuan and told them the information would receive great benefit. Many places in the 23rd small immortal realm were in a panic. Qin Nan transmitted his voice to the patriarch of the Blue sect to reassure him and the people of the Shangyue mountain. He then found a secluded place and set up various forbidding formations to cultivate in seclusion. A few days later, the last art of Tao seeking, the Tao scriptures of 10 Desires surfaced on the ownerless heaven pattern. Qin Nan immersed himself in it to comprehend it. A day and a night later, Qin Nan's eyes slowly sprang open. The kid's tree is about to reach the perfect realm. Doom opened his eyes in the cauldron. He was extremely curious even though he did not mention it. In addition to him, even the red string on Qin Nan's wrist emitted a faint glow. The peerless existence that was known as the strongest 9 heavens supreme in the 9 heavens immortal realm was extremely interested in Qin Nan's tree of Tao. Qin Nan took a deep breath and executed the Battle Dao Immortal Manuscript, the Scriptures of Sky Tai Huang, and the rest of the 11 arts of Dao seeking in his body. His aura immediately reached a terrifying level, causing the mountain he was standing on to tremble vigorously. The beasts in the woods in the distance uttered uneasy cries. Qin Nan unleashed the Tree of Dao and executed the Dao Scriptures of 10 desires in his body. F***Kmi. Doom cursed in the heaven-repairing cauldron. It was his first time seeing Qin Nan executing 12 arts of Dao seeking at the same time. It was also his first time feeling threatened by Qin Nan apart from the white-blue flower. This brat is too freakish. Using the 12 arts of Dao seeking, the saber, the flames in his body, the Lord of all worlds, the souls of the immortals, and the tree, even if he doesn't use the white-blue flower. I'm afraid he can easily defeat a peak peerless ruler. Doom's heart was filled with great astonishment. He finally understood why Qin Nan was willing to take such a huge risk to practice 12 arts of Dao seeking at the same time. Even he would give it his all if he was in Qin Nan's shoes. Dao intent unleash. Immortal flames burst out in Qin Nan's eyes. The divine battle spirit floated behind him. Its terrifying aura shattered the spacious cave. Under his will, the Dao intent of the Dao Scriptures of 10 desires turned into an illusionary dragon. It let out a roar into the sky and sprang into the Tree of Dao. This time, the strong repelling force did not appear. It merged with the Tree of Dao seeking at the same time. The light and aura that the Tree of Dao seeking was emitting froze all of a sudden, as if it had been sealed in ice. Qin Nan's heart stopped beating. His blood stopped flowing too. Everything about him returned to a state of stillness. Doom held his breath. He did not dare to miss any detail. Empress Feiyue, who was in a mysterious place far away in the first immortal realm, came to a stop too. She placed her hands behind her. 1 breath, 2 breaths, 30 breaths, 400 breaths. Chapter 1923. Memory reappears. 1. Qin Nan was the first to react. 12 different Dao intents burst out of his body like flames. 12 different mystical glows lit up the cave. It felt like 12 ancient existences had descended upon the world from the rift. The Dao-melting immortal flames and immortal force in his body skyrocketed. The same went for the aura that he was emitting. This time, his cultivation had achieved the greater success stage of the peerless ruler realm without refining any natural resources. The divine battle spirit on Qin Nan's back uttered a soundless roar into the sky. Its illusionary hair, facial features, arms, chest, legs, etc. began to materialize. Its long hair reached its waist, its brows were sharp like swords, and its lips were thin. Lines appeared on his hands, chest, and legs. Even though they were still illusory and were only souls, anyone could sense the terrifying power contained within them that could cause the world to tremble. Its eyes, in particular, were sharp and deep at times. Doom felt like his scalp was about to explode when he accidentally glanced at them. It felt like he had fallen into an icy cellar. The changes to the divine battle spirit were too shocking. The imperiousness of the fifth immortal was starting to show. If Qin Nan were to use the Lord of all worlds and the soul in a battle, even the peerless geniuses and peerless rulers would have a hard time calming their thoughts. Doom barely collected his thoughts. His forehead was covered in cold sweat. At that instant, bang! It was as if a boundless lightning had struck down from the sky. The mountain that Qin Nan was standing on was slashed in half by a peerless immortal sword. Pieces of rocks scattered across the place. The beasts in all directions dropped to the ground and trembled in fear. Qin Nan floated in the air on his own. His blood-red hair was dyed in a blue glow. It was half red and half blue as it drifted in the wind. The Tree of Dao on his back began to crack as if something was breaking into pieces. Each crack was louder than the one before. It eventually echoed within a few 100,000 li. The sound eventually came to a stop. The tree of Tao broke into pieces and reassembled itself. It stood between the heavens and earth in a brand new form. Its roots were 9-colored, its thick trunk was 7-colored, and its countless winding branches were 3-colored. The countless dense leaves were colorless, as if they were made of crystal, and were extremely transparent. However, if one were to take a closer look, each leaf had 12 veins intertwined with one another. They were emitting different auras, yet they did not reject one another, as if they were one entity. Buzz. All of a sudden, everything in the world seemed to be boiled by an invisible force. It boiled violently and became incomparably chaotic, giving off a sense of chaos. The brand new tree of Tao began to expand slightly, as if it was going against the flow of a strong current. Thousands of rare phenomena took place in the sky. Stars were falling, the ground was shattering, the wind and rain were colliding, and the sound of Tao was echoing across the heavens and earth. Each of the rare phenomena was utterly ridiculous. They only existed in ancient record. This, Doom was utterly dumbfounded. He could not describe the astonishment in his heart with words. He was ranked second among the 10 primordial evils. He had achieved the perfect stage of the Tao realm, yet he suddenly felt minuscule. He was like a speck of Tao dust, while the tree in front of him was the mountain of Tao. He actually refined such a law-defying tree out of nowhere. Empress Feiyue, who was extremely far away, exclaimed. Her emotionless, faint blue eyes flickered as her lips curled upward. That's great, even if he hasn't awakened his true past life. It's enough to give the geniuses of the first immortal realm a great shock. Saying this, the grin on her face soon disappeared. The ripples in her eyes disappeared. She continued to walk into the darkness ahead. However, she flicked her finger as a thought crossed her mind. The red string on Qin Nan's wrist immediately emitted a brilliant glow, encapsulating everything around it. Meanwhile, in the 23rd small immortal realm, deep inside the 10 Desires sect and other mysterious places, several ancient existences suddenly opened their eyes. What just happened? Who caused the Tao to boil? Why didn't I sense any presence? Was it just a hallucination? Their eyes flickered with confusion. They tried some methods but failed. They eventually shook their heads and closed their eyes. Meanwhile, deep inside the Shangyue mountain, the straw on a scarecrow shuddered. Why do I have a strong feeling that the boiling of the Tao has something to do with Qin Nan? It murmured and shook its head. Forget it, let's not talk about that kid. Why didn't he come and see me when he came here? As it spoke, it entered another terrifying formation. Meanwhile, the place where Qin Nan was at was still experiencing various rare phenomena. Currently, under the tree, the aura emitted from Qin Nan's body felt like he was the only one in the heavens and earth. The tree of Tao has finally reached the perfect level. Qin Nan gradually collected his thoughts. He sensed the power in his body and grinned. However, it's a pity that I can't merge any other arts of Tao seeking with the tree of Tao. Qin Nan shook his head. If he could merge more arts of Tao seeking with the tree of Tao seeking, the tree of Tao would become even more terrifying. It would eventually reach an unbelievable level. That being said, Qin Nan clearly knew that it was not that easy to create something unbelievable. I'll have to wait until I achieve the perfect level of the Tao realm to see what's going to happen. The immortal flames in Qin Nan's eyes flickered vigorously. He was still in the greater success stage of the Tao realm. His Tao glow had yet to evolve into the 9-colored Tao glow. Once he achieved the perfect level of the Tao realm, he would have a new opportunity. However, achieving the perfect level of the Tao realm was not something that could be achieved in a short period of time. Doom had spent a few thousand years accumulating his strength before he finally succeeded with the fruit of the heavens and earth. Even though he had 3 fruits of the heavens and earth, he would most likely fail if he tried to achieve the perfect level with brute force. he still needed to accumulate his strength. Qin Nan looked at the divine battle spirit. He stared at it for a few hundred breaths before uttering the word, "Withdraw." Chapter 1924. The Memory Reappears, Part 2. Only then did everything in the heavens and the earth return to calm. All the greater demons in the surroundings felt as if they'd been relieved of a heavy burden, and they felt as if they'd been reborn after experiencing a calamity of life and death. This kid is getting scarier. Doom finally collected his thoughts. He could not help but exclaim. However, the worry in his heart grew stronger too. The more terrifying and unbelievable the Tree of Tao was, the more shocking the reaction of the Supreme Taoism factions would be once it was exposed to the public. Qin Nan, you should keep a low profile from now on. You shouldn't use the Tree of Tao again before you achieve the Nine Heavens Supreme Realm and have the ability to protect yourself, Doom advised. Qin Nan nodded after realizing what he was implying. However, Qin Nan was startled before Doom could finish. The ownerless heaven pattern deep inside his divine sense suddenly emitted wisps of light. Wisps of purple-golden light floated at the center of the pattern and formed a purple-golden crystal. Qin Nan was very familiar with the crystal. There was one in his mind when he achieved the human immortal realm, but the beast hide drawing took it away. According to the beast hide drawing, it was the memory of his past life. But why did it reappear now? Qin Nan soon noticed that the crystal was different from the memory of his past life. It was a purple crystal last time, but it had a golden crystal this time. According to the copper mirror, the beast hide drawing has been mistaken. My past life is actually someone else. The appearance of the purple golden crystal proves it, Qin Nan murmured in his heart. His breathing intensified unknowingly. If the purple golden crystal was the memory of his past life, would he be able to awaken his past life when he inserted his divine sense into it? Qin Nan, what's wrong with you? Are you listening? Doom called out, but Qin Nan's attention was fully focused on the purple golden crystal. He completely ignored Doom's call. Doom clenched his teeth angrily and closed his eyes. He was too lazy to say a word. Qin Nan took a deep breath to calm his thoughts. He reached out with his divine sense. Thud! A voice appeared. Qin Nan felt like he had encountered a great obstacle. He was unable to break through it no matter how hard he tried. Strange, why can't I open it if it's already here? Could it be that it's still in a broken state and not truly complete? Or perhaps there are other conditions that need to be met to open it? Several thoughts crossed Qin Nan's mind. In the end, he shook his head. There were too many possibilities. He was unsure. However, there was one thing that he was sure of. Since the purple golden crystal came from the ownerless heaven pattern, the ownerless heaven pattern would at least give him some hint. As such, he had no choice but to wait. However, not only did Qin Nan not hear Doom's words, he did not notice a wisp of mysterious demonic aura that was supposed to have disappeared appearing again. It circled around his heart before vanishing. Either way, the Tree of Tao has brought me a lot of surprises. The face of the divine battle spirit, the things related to my past life. Qin Nan's lips curled upward. He calmed his aura. The incident with the Tree of Tao had finally come to an end. It's time for me to settle some other matters, Qin Nan murmured. He took out a badge and transmitted his voice. Envoy Fenghua, can you please inform the other factions that I'll be returning to the sect in a few days? Ask them to come to the sect to retrieve the person. Saying this, he vanished into thin air with a flicker. However, Qin Nan did not expect his words would stir up a great commotion in the Sky Taihuang sect, followed by a bigger commotion when Envoy Fenghua spread the news. That goddamn Qin Nan, he's finally going to release my disciple. What are you waiting for? Head to the Sky Taihuang sect at once. What Qin Nan has done is a great humiliation to our tribe. Contact the other factions at once. Even the Sky Taihuang sect won't let him off so easily. Flames of anger burned in the eyes of many leaders of the major forces. At the same time, there were also some leaders whose eyes flashed with light as they lowered their heads and pondered. No one knew what they were thinking. Meanwhile, in the Heaven Illusionary Ancestor sect, a young man with a pale face and jade-like eyes slowly opened his eyes and said, "Master, Qin Nan has defeated Lu Gufeng, Tang Tianjun, and the others. I would like to have a duel with him." An old man who was fishing not far away from the young man put down his fishing rod and said calmly, "You have just become a peerless ruler. You have yet to achieve the perfect stage of the Tao realm, and your flesh has only reached the greater success stage. There's an 80% chance that you will lose. Are you sure you want to fight him?" "To be honest, I don't think so." The young man let out a wry smile and said, "But, Master, just tell me what you want me to do next time. Can you not use the ruler? Besides, I'm already a peerless ruler. Can you not use violence on me?" The old man fell silent for a moment. He finally said after some time, "A great authority is born from a great stick. That's what your grandmaster taught me. All right, pack up and be on your way. Don't forget our rules." The young man's lips twisted when he mentioned the rules. When he first joined the sect, he was told that if he was defeated by his opponent, he would have to serve him with a ruler for 3 hours after he came back. Meanwhile, in the Sanqing ancient sect, a glamorous woman was sitting with her legs crossed inside a blossoming white lotus. She had a peaceful look, as if she was otherworldly. "Li'er, how could you steal your grandmaster's clothes?" "Li'er, you're crossing the line. How dare you steal my orb?" However, the two peak peerless rulers beside the pond were infuriated. "That's enough, stop scolding her." An imperious voice could be heard coming from the distance as a figure flew toward them. "Patriarch, you're indulging her too much. If you continue to let her do as she pleases, I'm afraid she's going to sneak into the Taihai Ocean," the two peerless rulers grumbled. "Cough cough, senior sisters, don't you worry, I'm not that kind of person." The glamorous woman coldly opened her eyes and said sternly, "At least, I won't go there before I become a 9 Heavens Supreme." The patriarch of the Sanqing ancient sect glared at her and said, "Qin Nan is back. He has caused quite a stir. Many things are going to happen soon. You should head to the Sky Taihuang sect with your martial uncle tomorrow." Li'er's eyes glittered. She said, "Thank you, Patriarch." As he spoke, he waved his little fist. "Humph, so what if he's the successor of the Immortals?" You're tuning in to the Phoenix Knights YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.